Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair. Come on down and get your feet to get at the Sci-Fi Center. We got almost everything a geek could want at the Sci-Fi Center. You name it, we got it. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and everything in between at the Sci-Fi Center.
Welcome to Saturday, April 5th, 2025. This is your weekly edition of the Sci-Fi Center Presents Saturday Overnight Live Show. I'm your host, William. Brad will be on later on, but after I get some things out of the way, as you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to be talking the 31st anniversary of Kurt Cobain's death. I'm going to be reviewing Green Lantern, Absolute Green Lantern, the latest book to come out in the Green Lantern, not Green Lantern, but the Absolute Universe. It's good. This is the one of the variant covers, one of the rare ones I was able to get my hands on, but I got 4 of them over there, and when we review it, I'll bring them out to show you the covers. And Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell is also going to be another one that I was not expecting to review because I didn't know if I had a chance to read it. But I hope our internet holds up here today because it's been having issues all day. And what I'll try to do is, if we can move the show along fast enough, I may or may not open up the panel. Don't count on it, though, because, like I said, it depends on what we get hung up on. But I am going to open the show up with the other thumbnail, and it's been a question that has been bothering me all week long, ever since the footage for James Gunn's Superman got released, and it's kind of annoying. And as somebody who is a Star Trek fan, hold on, let me make sure that our sound is good because I don't want what I'm saying to get muffled up. I'll be right back. I didn't like the way I was sounding. I've been having issues ever since we've gotten this brand new one, and I just want to make sure that I'm not sounding like I'm in a basement or a cellar. I didn't like the way I was sounding. I've been having issues ever since we've gotten this brand new one. Doesn't help. Okay, so we're just gonna mute this one. Fuck it. We're just gonna go with this, and hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear, and without a whole bunch of echoing. All right, so that's as good as we're getting today. So, something that's been bothering me all week since we got the James Gunn footage released at CinemaCon, and then we got to release a version of it released on YouTube and everywhere else. And I already said how I felt about you know, the footage. I mean, we still haven't gotten a trailer yet. We've gotten a teaser and we've gotten this. But every time I tried to engage, which probably was my first mistake, but I'm a comic book nerd. I'm a comic book guy. I've been collecting for 4 decades. I've been selling for 30 of those. I can't help myself to talk about a comic book character in an upcoming comic book movie. But immediately I was reminded of why I am starting to believe that even being a Superman fan, a Star Trek fan, and a Star Wars fan, that of those fandoms, some Superman fans might be worse than the worst of those. Every time I opened up something or was listening to something or was listening to some people who I even respect and like listening to, I heard the same tired trope. Finally, Superman's back. Where did he go? Finally, a joyful, hopeful Superman, which, like I said, maybe we all need a digital thesaurus because we apparently don't know what those words mean if we're applying them to Superman and Superman movies that have existed. Colorful Superman. I'm like, no matter what Superman you've ever seen, it's a dude in a red cape, a blue suit, and a red S on his chest. So where's that coming from? And I've come to my own conclusion that the Superman that a lot of these guys or gals or people in general are talking about doesn't exist anywhere but between their ears. I've seen every Superman movie. Seen them all in the theaters except for Superman the original, the motion picture, and I saw that later on when we saw a double bill at Man Shiny Theater to see Superman 2. Seen every Superman movie that's been released in the theaters. I've been collecting Superman since I've known how to read. I have yet to see this Superman on any platform that these guys say went away. I hear that, oh, Superman's too dark and he doesn't smile and all this nonsense. And once again, every Superman movie I've ever seen has an element of darkness in it. Every Superman movie I've ever seen, every Superman show I've ever seen, every Superman comic book I've ever read has an element of that in it. Do they have joy and humor and some of the fluffy stuff that people seem to think that's all that's there? Yeah, in the context of the story they are telling. There has never been, in my opinion, in my estimation, from my opinion, like I said, this is a question I'm going to pose to you guys. Where is this Superman that some of you are looking for? It didn't exist in the Reeves movies, either of the two that are good. I'm not counting 3 and 4 because they're awful. But for the sake of my question, Superman 1 and 2 had some very dark elements in it. Superman 2, he literally spends half the movie moping around wondering if he should even be Superman. He shows human aggression in there. He punches the truck driver with his full powers. just because he had wronged him earlier in the movie. He, along with his girlfriend Lois, murdered 3 Kryptonians. Yeah, it's done in 80s style, and maybe it seems campy, but it still happened. I have read Superman. Let's go to Man of Steel in the comic books. He murders those same Kryptonians in Man of Steel. I truly, vaguely remember a very dark period of time where Superman gets the hell beat out of him by Doomsday. Nobody was smiling then. But yet, each of these stories have the same thing that they all say there's missing. And I'm going to include Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm going to include Man of Steel. Where we're running afoul here is we fans think that we know the story that's being told better than the person that's telling it, because it doesn't come right out of the fucking, cereal box, hopeful and optimism. That doesn't mean it's not in there. Within the context of the story that every one of these movies and TV shows has told their story, they have all of that stuff. I clearly remember that after Superman had to take care of Zod, which he has done on every format that Superman has been on, that he's flying through talking to General Stanley saying, hey, I want to help. I'm here to help, but we got to do it our way. I felt optimistic coming out of that movie. Now, was Batman versus Superman overwhelming with fluffiness and happiness? No, but within the context of the story that they were telling, the mood was appropriate. And within the context of the arc that would have been told, we don't know how that would have turned out because we kind of got kneecapped. But I have to assume that, judging from where the trajectory of that story was going, that it would have been consistent with every single Superman that has ever done. What's going on here that I can see, and I think, and the reason I'm even bringing it up, because I think it hinders anybody who wants to tell a Superman story one way or another. I think it puts undue pressure on a storyteller, because before they even get out of the gate, fans already have a map to where the character should be. We're not writing the stories. I don't think James Gunn's Superman is going to be any more or less optimistic than any Superman that's ever been made, to be honest with you. The limited stuff that we've seen, he's getting cans thrown at him. He's bleeding. He's coughing up blood. He's has some, looks like some self-doubt, or he has the hell beat out of him because he's sitting there with a burnt up suit about to get up and go fight something else. I expect the same elements in the context that James Gunn is going to tell them in his movie that I've seen in every Superman movie. It's just each writer, director, artist is going to have to take their road to it. And it's not the composite fanboy unicorn that I'm hearing with some of these, some of this interaction. Finally, somebody get Superman. Everybody who's ever directed a Superman movie got Superman. Now, did you agree with how they went about it? Hell, I don't know if I'm going to agree with what James Gunn does and how he goes about it. But I have to respect that that's his decision making and that's what he's doing. And Superman is unique amongst superheroes in that he is an idea more than anything else. There are certain superheroes where you could kind of hold those concepts to certain things because that's the DNA of that character. Those are the characteristics and traits of that character. Superman is different. He's become an idea. And I think because it's an abstract idea, that people have selectively picked what made them feel good about whatever movie they hold dear, and they don't really want to refer to the rest of the movie. I had somebody tell me that apparently that I didn't see. Hold on, let me read this quote from this person. I'm not going to bring up their name because it's really not all about that. But this is what I've been getting. I've been getting when I was talking to some of these guys. Let me see if I can find it because it was hours ago, and it was just a microcosm of let's see. Should have had it pulled up, but I was too busy worrying about if my internet was going to work. Here we go. And I asked a question in a comment that I had in one of my other pages. I mean, who's making these rules? And somebody, this is the answer. Anybody that grew up with Christopher Reeves as their Superman and actually read the comics. Hate to break it to you kids, but MOS is not the source material. So my response to that is like I told you guys. I saw both the original movies in the theaters. I've been collecting since 1982, and I've been dealing them since 1995. And I'm not a kid. So what was in the Christopher Reeves movies other than 80s cheese, which is fine because that's when Superman 2 was released, 1980. What is in these movies that hasn't been in any other movies? He deals with death in these movies. He deals with the same elements, loneliness, how he's perceived, what his responsibilities are in every single Superman movie I've ever seen. But we don't want that. We don't want the person that's hired to tell the story to actually get to wherever they're at. We want the bits and pieces, and not all of it, but just some of people want the bits and pieces that we cherry picked out throughout our lives and rolled up into a foil ball, and then we want to throw that foil ball at people. And if you're happy about James Gunn's Superman, you're surprised, you're excited about it, that's the right answer. But there is no wrong way to tell a Superman story. He's one of the few characters that applies to, in my opinion. There is no wrong way to tell a Superman story. And I don't think there's been one told the wrong way. Even some of them that I don't like. I don't like Superman Returns because I think it's nostalgia. But even that, based on that alone, is consistent with the way Superman stories have been told. And I've read plenty of Superman, and people are like, well, you need to read All-Star Superman because you don't know what you're talking about. I read it, right? I read it. And if you have a certain standard that is what you want Superman to be, that's cool. I have mine. But I'm not going to use that as a weapon and tell somebody else that they don't know anything about Superman, or that, to give off some impression that whatever Superman movie somebody might prefer, that one, you don't know Superman because you like that. What? And I think it's a detriment to the brand, to be honest with you. I think it sets up minefields that don't need to be there because it puts unrealistic pressures on this character that have never existed. What's being asked for and desired to Superman that's all fluff and doesn't have any of the elements that these other movies have had. It doesn't. No Superman movie has gone that way. I mean, and even if you decide, okay, well, this movie started out, dour and somber and all that. Okay, so because a particular artist or writer, director decide to take you on a different cycle to get to a familiar place, that's not Superman. And it annoys me when I hear the words that are applied, as if none of these other Superman were optimistic. The very fact that he's Superman and putting his life on the line for a world that is not is optimism in itself. And no matter what level of Superman you're talking about, his values that he has from Ma and Pa Kent, just about every movie that's been put out and some shows, is been the standard bearer for Superman in any format that I've ever read or watched it on. And all of these movies have had that. The advice he gets from his parents, the upbringing that he has. I'm pretty sure every Superman movie, most of my own Superman, but most Superman movies have had him, and Smallville as part of it. So the same basic hallmarks have always been there in every format, but yet when I'm looking to interact as geeks do, and see, okay, well, what did you guys think were the strong parts about this trailer? Because that's really all I was wanting to analyze. Oh no, couldn't do that. And I don't know how anybody can kind of put that on this movie, saying that it's uplifting and this and that for what, a total of 7 minutes of clips if you include the teasers. For all we know, every minute in between could be David Corn said Superman is getting kicked in the nuts for 2 hours, going through depression. We don't know. We haven't seen the movie. But I think this whole perception of Superman has been weaponized just to aim at other people's versions of Superman. And it's like I said, that's what's been done to Star Wars. That's been what's been done to Star Trek, and a lot of these other particular fandoms. I mean, there are going to be elements of James Gunn Superman that I probably won't like, and I'll be all right with it because there's elements of every Superman movie ever released. To be honest with you, that have elements that I don't like, but I respect that was a version of Superman that person saw. And I think that when I hear stuff, and then I hear or so and so didn't get Superman. Finally, we have somebody. We haven't seen anything. The movie won't be released until July 11th. So I don't know what you've seen. I mean, 5 and 7 minutes was enough for you. Then should I just not go see the other 2 hours that might go along with that? So this perception precedes the movie. This is a projection, is what this is, in my opinion. You don't know what's in that movie other than what they've shown you. And how many times have we watched trailers and things being manipulated and footage being manipulated, and then that's not the whole context of the movie. We don't know what we're going to see there. I'm open to it, but I don't need to use that as a hammer for any other way of of telling Superman's story. Like I said, I was joking, but I almost had to mute the word hopeful because everybody was applying it. And I'm like, well, what the hell have I been watching since I was a kid then? Because every version of Superman that I paid to see had hope in it. But we want the finished product in our head to be projected onto whatever is currently being made. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with Superman in particular. And that's why if James Gunn is able to pull this off, he's doing a hell of a job because he's got an uphill battle and it has nothing to do with the movie he's making and it has nothing to do with the content he's making. If you have a perception that is built in, so what's going to happen if James Gunn's a movie is not the fluffy Muppet Superman that's in the imaginations of some? Does he not get Superman? Then is that what we're going to base it on? Or are we going to respect that that's his version of Kal-El? Zack Snyder's version of Kal-El was the right one. James Gunn's, no matter what the outcome is, unless he does something drastically ridiculous, which I don't think he do, that's going to be the right answer. Right? The Richard Donner versions in the late 70s, early, those are the right answers. All of them had their time and their place. None of them are less Superman. And it annoys me because, like I said, as somebody who reads this stuff on a daily basis, I just want to know where this Superman that you say has been gone, where the hell was he ever in the entire time I've been on this planet? And that's a legitimate question. You may have a preference of what I have a preference. I like the more alien nature of Superman than anything else. When I see the Fortress of Solitude, I really don't have any desire to see the crystals again because I saw that when I was 6. I want to see wherever somebody takes these on and puts their vision on it. I want to see something that raw came out of their vision. That's my preference. But you know what? Like I said, the decisions he makes, I'm going to go to this movie. I'm going to take a look at it, and there we go. And we're going to go from there. So let me make sure that, because I've been having sound issues all day. All right, cool. So I hope that my sound is better now that the thing is plugged all the way in. But that's where I'm at with it. I really just want to get to a point where these things are fun again. And when you pop into a chat or you pop into a post or anything like that, it's not somebody on some crusade to tell me how dour and how depressing the other Superman was, and that that wasn't Superman. You know what? Whatever story that writer was telling, that's Superman. That's Superman. He's been around 8.5 decades. There's gonna be interpretations of this character that you don't like. Some of them are dated to the point where they were relevant to when they were being written, but they're still Superman. The stuff in the 50s is cheesy as hell. It's still Superman. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel may have been a little bit too dark for some of you guys. It's still Superman. And to exclude that means that Superman is always some dude hopping and skipping down the road until he sees a cat he needs to save in the tree, and then everything's all good and corny. That's never been a version of Superman that I've seen. And if you have issues and stretches and where you can show me, direct me to where I can go watch or see that, and let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. But I wasn't born yesterday, and I've seen a lot of this stuff. Not a kid. And I'm ready for another interpretation of Superman, but I can watch that without just like when I saw that, Man of Steel, that didn't change Christopher Reeve Superman for me. And when I go see, this movie in July, it's not going to change what I think about Zack Snyder's version of it. To me, they're all Superman. Superman is an abstract idea. There are other characters where you will not be able to do that with. That most characters you will not be able to. But Superman is the one you can do. And like I said, I think every time somebody gets in the saddle and decides they want to do a Superman movie, they got to run through this wall and up a hill and backwards through snow just to fight this perception that where the fuck does it come from? All right? It's a legitimate question. Forget everything else I said if you want to. Where does this perception of Superman come from, and should it be applied to any given storyteller? Like I said, having a preference is one thing, but using that preference to undercut all other versions of Superman, I don't see how that's productive. All right, so now I'm going to go to the chat. I'm going to take a quick break here and make sure that my voice isn't fucking up my stream. I'll be right back, guys. All right, let's hope I sound better. I got my point across, though. All right, so let's say hi to everybody. Hello, Music Man. How are you doing? I don't know where Brad is. He might be running late. I know he had a belt test today, so he's gonna. Yeah, here he is. He told me he's coming in. So, how you doing, Droga? Thoughts on Charn Aries? I have not seen the trailer. I'm gonna let Brad talk about that. I've never been a big Trump fan. The second one didn't do anything for me, but we'll bring it up though. Now I'll have Brad back into it. Daryl Taylor, yeah, William. Can you also talk about the Toxic Marvel fans on another stream? I think we bought them up, but I want to stay on track. I know you messaged me about that, but I want to try to stay on track because I can run my mouth and we'll be here 6 hours. Because of seeing the post videos, people saying Fantastic Four, it's going to suck. Now, what I will say about that, hold on. God, this thing is killing me. What I will say about when it comes to doubting Fantastic Four, unlike DC, we have a track record when it comes to Kevin Feige and Marvel Cinematic Universe. We don't necessarily have that with DC. So, and like I said, you're talking, we're not even to the point where the movie is released with DC, and we already got people trying to project their versions of Superman onto this movie, and to the detriment of everybody else who's enjoyed a different version of Superman. And that goes both ways too. So yeah, when it comes to Fantastic Four, I don't really have much to say about that, Daryl, because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. When Kevin Feige and MCU start failing on a level that Warner Brothers has in the last 10 years, we can have that conversation. But I don't have much to say about those toxic Marvel fans, because can you imagine doubting the machine that is them when they're A-listers? Every time somebody wants to bring up Miss Marvel and or the Marvels and any other thing that might have been mid-level stuff, I return with, when is the last time that an A-lister for the MCU has not done spectacular? So I have a new camera and I have a new mic, and its mic is driving me crazy. I can hear myself when I play back. I just don't like the way it sounds. I have the echo thing on, and everything is right, but I really hate the way I'm sounding right now. I know I'm audible and you guys can hear me, but it's not the way I want to sound. So I'm having issues. Let me see if this helps. Maybe that helps. Does that make a difference? There you go. Yeah, I did get a new camera though. I got a new Logitech. Yeah, it's been bugging me. And like I said, this isn't every Superman fan, but it's enough. It's a significant amount to where I can, usually if it's nothing, I just don't remember it and I go past it. But this has been the prevailing sentiment from a certain segment of Superman fans for a long time. And I've had to listen to it for like the last 10 years or so. And usually about a movie and a version of Superman I really enjoy. It's always turned back to, to me, that you don't get Superman. I don't get Superman. There's a lot of stuff I don't get. There's a lot of stuff that I'm an absolute moron when it comes to. There's a lot of things that, hell, I can barely walk straight half the time without tripping over my feet. But when it comes to certain things, I may not be the best in the world at them, but I'm really good. And I think I understand Superman. We may have a different opinion about Superman, but I'm not going to hit you over the head with my version of Superman. This Superman that's going to come out in July has no effect on any of the other Superman that I've enjoyed one way or another. It can't touch those Supermen for me. Now, if I like it more, we'll have to see. But if I don't like it, guess what? My preferred Superman is still there. My standards for Superman are still there, but I'm not going to beat you over the head with my standards of Superman. That's the one character, to be honest with you, that should be, that's not. Now, there's like 10 or 20 other characters off the top of my head where that does not apply, because much of the design of the character it excludes you being able to freelance things without damaging the character. Superman is an abstract idea that it's designed for everybody to be able to buy into and look at through whatever lens of life they are going through. And that's not what's happening sometimes. How you doing, Daniel? But like I said, it happened, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Superman and Lois for the most part, but that last season was excellent. The last season of Superman and Lois compelled me. And I had watched the whole show, but it lost me. But there are things that they did, Superman and Lois did, in that last season that were just great. We watched the scene the revelation scene in the diner. Some of the best shit I've seen in Superman in like 25 years. So yeah, because Superman never left. He never left. And I can't say one way or another whether James Gunn gets Superman until I see the movie. And even then, I'm not going to say he doesn't, because that was the decisions he made. He decided to bring Crypto the dog in. I think it's excellent marketing, but I have never, as a Superman collector, I've never had any use for Crypto ever. But that's a decision he made. That's the Superman story he wants to tell. I can respect that. I don't like the color grade of this movie so far that I've seen. I don't like being overwhelmed, with that much color in the world that I live in. That's a preference of mine. That's not a wrong thing about him. That's a preference of mine. And I had people tell me the other day, well, William, that's the way it is in the comic books. That's fine. And sometimes you can apply that. Not all the time. For the most part, when I'm going to see a movie, I'm going to see a movie. I'm not, when I'm reading a comic, when I'm reading All-Star Superman, I'm in a different mind frame. My mind is in a different place than where it is when I watch a movie set in a practical world that I live in. That's just our preference. If he decided to go this route, that's fine. But I prefer, I don't, it's not for me. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to like the movie, because once again, all the aesthetic things that may or may not bother me about James Gunn's Superman, from what I've seen, could be knocked off of the table with the story. Same thing about Peacemaker. Same thing about the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, respectively, are the most ridiculous looking movies that I've ever seen in my entire life on their face. Yet each of those movies had a story that compelled me and kept me going and made me care about the individuals and their plight. So guess what? I don't like the Superman costume. I hate the trunks. I hate the trunks anywhere on Superman. I think the trunks are ridiculous. I think the reasons why the trunks are there are ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't like trunks on superheroes. What the hell? Wear your underwear outside your pants. What am I supposed to think about you? That's fine. That's an element that he's added, and that's fine. That's not going to mean anything if the story's good. He could have my favorite Superman costume and design a costume straight out of my brain. And if it's a crap story, it's not going to matter. So all I have right now are aesthetics and a couple scenes when it comes to Superman. I'm waiting for a trailer. I'm waiting for the first trailer, not a teaser. I'm waiting for the premise. I'm waiting to hear dialogue back and forth. I'm ready to see, some main players. That's a trailer to me, and I'm open to seeing it. I want to have fun with this, to be honest with you. All right. It's not a war. Going to these movies is not a war. I've been to a war. Trust me. This is fictional stuff. None of this stuff behind me is real. Breaking news. All right. There's no dog that can fly and run at superhuman speeds that's got a Superman cape on right now. There's no Superman that has a Superman cape right now that I know of. All right. There's no giant green guy that turns into a Hulk when he gets angry. Okay. There's as far as I know, there's not a dude dressed in a bat, in Vegas, swinging around right now. And there's not a blind guy who can kick everybody's ass swinging around alongside him. So it's gotten to the point where these versions of these characters have become people's identity. And once it becomes your identity, you take it personal. It's like, I'm no longer attacking a version of a character. You're attacking my version of that character, and that version is special to me. Now it's personal. No, it's not. No, it's not. You can come in and tell me my favorite characters and versions of them are shit. It's not going to mean anything to me. I enjoyed them. Somebody can tell me that, Cowboy Superman was this and that. I don't give a fuck. I enjoyed it when I watched it. It impressed upon me. That's it. I'm not going to take it personally if you don't like a certain character, but I see some of these guys that, and it's not, and you start to hear them talk, and it's not just about the character, it's about how they felt about the character and how they've been, and this is all perfect. That's fine. But don't ball that up and rear back and turn it into a fastball that you aim at somebody, because they may have a different version of that of Superman than you do, especially Superman. We could have different streams about other characters and corrupting and all that, because like I said, there are certain characters whose elements that are fixed based on what they are from the day one that they were designed, that when you tamper with those, you end up with mutations that may not need to see. But even then, it's subjective. So yeah, that's how I feel. Why is Batman allowed to be malleable and interpreted in different ways but not Superman? To be honest with you, I'm not necessarily on board in some of those ways that Batman has been malleable. That's one of the characters that, in my opinion, that by design are what they are. They are what they are because that's what they are by design. When you have a character like Batman that was designed based on violence, that was his entire reason for existing in the form that he is in was violence and trauma, direct trauma that he watched. And in the era that Batman has created, he's created with this, like I said, it's the world of crime. You had gangsters openly shooting people in the streets. You had wars going on, where entire civilizations, millions of people were being killed. In many ways, death became a way of life. Or if you were living in that, you were either starving to death because a lot of people were broke, a lot of people were poor. You were coming out of the depression. You had wars going on. You had violence going on, outright violence going on. So you have to realize where that character comes from, and no matter how much you try to change and transform that character, it's going to be written at its best when it's written based on what made him. So when I see Batman 66, and if I don't know another version of Batman, if I don't know, am I freezing? Shit. Okay. Let me make sure that I'm not freezing because uh, this is the best internet I have. All right, so let's. All right, let me try something else. I'll be right back. Actually, just try this. All right, hold on. Having technical difficulties. All right. How about that? Hold on. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm just having issues technically. Ah. StreamYard is literally crashing before my very eyes. Hold on. Let me get us back online here so I know what I'm doing. Okay, no longer freezing. Let's make sure I'm up on that. I just want to look at the stream, make sure I'm right, because right now I can't see myself on my external screen, and that's a problem. All right, cool. All right, so let me get back on track to what I was saying. All right, here we go. It's pixelating a little bit, but there's not much I can do about that right now. All right, so what was I saying? What was I saying? So yeah, that's when it comes to Batman, a lot of what what goes on with Batman is built into the character, and there are certain characters. Hold on, let me see this. Make sure. I don't have a connection to the internet. This is annoying. Okay, that's aggravating. I'm on the shitty internet now. Sorry about that. I'm gonna switch back over once I have a break in, but I don't want to keep getting interrupted because StreamYard is crashing and the internet is crashing. But yeah, so when it comes to Batman, when it comes to characters like that, you can probably have that argument because they're not abstract. Superman is a relatable avatar, whereas or Batman is a relatable avatar, whereas Superman is an abstract. All right, I'm going to get to the Superman. William, if you're open to a gun interpretation of Superman, then why not a Burton Superman? They have similar sensibilities. Okay, that's a quality issue. That's a quality issue. It's not me. The story sounds goofy, but I would have been down for it if I hadn't seen elements of it. That's a quality issue. It's not about his interpretation. It looked like shit. All right, I'm sorry. When every time somebody wants to bring up that version of Superman, and I see that awful costume, and I see all that, I can't look at it anymore. So there has to be a quality consistency. There's a difference between a different interpretation, and then it just didn't look good. That did not look like it was supposed to be something that was seen. Now, in all fairness, and we'll never know, there was never any post-production on that movie. So who knows how it would have looked. But apparently the people who were making that movie kind of felt the same way that I did when I saw that finished product. If a Tim Burton, and here's the thing, the problem I have with it going into that, the Chrono Bowl, is if that movie was never meant to be made and there were quality reasons why that movie was never meant to be to see the light of day, then why am I seeing it in that movie? So I have an issue with that. Hank Dizzy, thank you for becoming a member. Oh, by the way, guys, I meant to do a stream today for you patrons. I will be doing that tomorrow. Hopefully, I have some better technological issues. So, all right, hello, Clint. I'm going to go ahead and bring Brad in. Now I'm done with. Hopefully, I'm not too choppy, guys. I'm going to.
You look fine.
What's up? Okay, cool. I'm going to say hi to some people, and then I'm going to go out and go in.
And by the way, it's like I think I mentioned I had a early morning today with my yeah. Oh, but man, that oh boy, that was a very taxing day. So I came home pretty much just died. So I just woke up a little bit ago. So again, that's why I'm a little late on the show today, guys.
Once again, Anthony, I feel that you're projecting. You don't know that. We don't know that. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, how you feel about a certain movie. You haven't seen this movie. Yeah. So in my opinion, this is what I'm talking about. You're projecting what you want.
I mean, you're
projecting. See, here's the thing. You're projecting against a version of Superman instead of for the one that you hope is going to be good. And that's not entertainment. I was hoping Gunn would make a Superman movie. Once again, in all fairness, guys, and let's be fair, I am not on board with all elements that I've seen from this movie, but I haven't seen shit from this movie. I've seen some footage out of context, and I've seen a teaser out of context. If I would have done that when it came to Peacemaker or the Suicide Squad, I would have never allowed myself to enjoy those movies. So let's be fair. We haven't seen really much of anything yet. Hell, we haven't even seen a real trailer yet. So let's be fair and let's after the movie, if you hate it, then I can understand. But at least you have seen something,
Oh, there you go.
Did I phrase again? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back out and I'm gonna come back in.
All right. Okay, but you guys got me now. Asking everybody. So I had a pre-test too for my black belt test coming up at the end of May, and boy, that was a morning. It was definitely we definitely went through the ringer. That's all of us, and there were testing like to say today. So I came home, I was just wiped out. Just came home, just crashed. Finally, I only got up a little bit here. It's I guess you could think we didn't have a watch party today because I just had nothing left once I got back. So I needed to come home and just get horizontal for a while. Okay, where was the last Aaron, how's it going, Aaron? Can we just not talk about Superman until the actual movie comes out? Oh, what do you mean, like talk about the movie, not talk about the movie until the movie comes out, not talk about the character until the movie comes out? Because it's like, I feel the Aaron on that, but it's like I don't know if it's a good idea in theory, but it's like I just don't know if like it's within human nature not to for most people. So I think it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's see what else you guys got. Let's see what else you guys got here. How's it going, Taladia? William. I guess William's dealing with some internet hiccups on his end, so you guys got me. But let's face it. 99% of the 5% of our audience tunes in for me anyway. So come on. Okay. If Superman flies so fast he kills you, bumps into you? This is kind of an interesting question. Actually, and it's funny you should say that because I always actually kind of think back to the opening of BBS when the one terrorist has Lois hostage and Superman flies over and gets him with that, and they smash through the wall. I actually think that guy didn't die because you have to think about the fact that Superman he has enough control that he was able to do that without hitting Lois. So to me, it's like, it's not at all a stretch to say he'd have enough control to do that, like grab the guy and and smash the wall without hurting him. And by the way, it sounds like I'm echoing on your end, man.
Fuck.
Yeah.
All right, that should kill that.
Okay.
I heard Aaron request that can we not talk about Superman until the movie. I generally don't unless something's happening during the week, and something happened this week. It's kind of hard not to.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Aaron asked me. I'm good. So again, I had a pre-test this morning, pretty early morning. My lab test coming up at the end of May, so it was just very, very taxing. We were doing all kinds of stuff, and it was about a 3-hour test or 3-hour pre-test. So it's game time now. We're getting with like 7 weeks away from the test, and I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, drive out there at 8. So because it was also a little bit of a drive away. It wasn't held where the school is. It was held on a little bit out this other property. So man, it was definitely a Saturday morning to remember. It was tough. It was
okay. That sounds like fun.
No, actually, because one thing we did that I knew going in, I was doing this was it involved because there's like 11 of us on the team. It involved pulling like one of those football sleds. It was a smaller one, but they put some weights on it, and we did that. Like we pulled it around like 2 laps around this lake out there. So So we did about 2 miles of that, and I was kind of thinking while I was doing that, this feels a little bit like almost like boot camp. And part of it's because there are a number of people who run the school who have a military background, so there are times where it's like some of the pre-tests will have like almost like a little bit of a boot camp feel to them.
Kevin Corrali. Hey, Brad. Brad, love the Superman sneak peek. What boggles my mind is who's they complain on Superman wouldn't get his power disturbed by Earth's yellow sun. Go watch season 2 finale. You don't even have to go to that show. You can go to version of Superman that's ever happened, and you can go to Dark Knight Returns where he flies up in the sun.
You see in Superman Returns, you see in Zack Snyder's Justice League, you see.
So no, that's not a.
Well, I think. Well, here's what I think was really kind of what he's alluding to, because there's been a little bit of like we kind of back and forth on it, because he's injured or in pain or like had some kind of a he's got beaten up somehow when he goes into the fortress. And so the robots zap him with some sunlight, and he's visibly he's in agony going through this. So a lot of people are asking, like, why? I mean, he gets his powers from the sun. Why is he in pain from the thing that gives him power? And a lot of people kind of explain that as well. It's like they give him this diagnosis of he's like got cracked ribs and
there's the robots, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it'd be like somebody resetting your nose or your joint or something. It was knocked out of place. No matter what's doing it, the doctor that's doing it is helping you, but it's still causing you pain because you're damaged. So, I didn't have too much of a problem with that. It's all I didn't like I said. I like All-Star Superman. I like Grant Morrison in general. I don't know how much of everything that he does in there, because that's a really this is a deep story, man. If he's using this as some of his inspiration, then you're in for something here. That's actually kind of like a good sign. This is a really good. This is one of my things that I showed you guys a while back, that if I got a brand new Superman fan that has not collected the comics for a while or has been out of the game for a while, then this is one of the Magnificent Seven that I hand them to. So I love that storyline. I don't know if it's going to apply properly depending on what elements, but I'll have to see the movie. So, but yeah, when like I said, a lot of people, and some of the complaints are just dumb. Like I said, I gave my opinion about it, what I felt about it, but some of the complaints, and yes, we do have people who have felt wronged by the ghost of a studio that no longer exists, and think that they need to take that out on this new version of Superman. I don't have any time for that either, to be honest with you. You want to go chase ghosts? Scooby-Doo. Somebody's making Scooby-Doo and airing Scooby-Doo, Ghost Hunters. If you want to chase things that don't exist, you can go ahead.
Well, we also got on the other side, we got people who want to use the Superman.
I opened up the show. Up the show.
That was, in fact, I was going to ask, because that was going to be like one of the big topics tonight. I guess that I came in a little bit late for that. Your big thing was kind of like this open kind of letter to Superman fandom.
It's a question. This soft, cuddly, stuffed animal Superman that you keep telling me is back. Where did he ever exist? And where did the Superman that's been Superman, where did he go? What are you basing this on? And why is it that in order to make that point, you got to tell whoever you're sitting across from that they don't know anything about Superman, or they don't get Superman? I don't get Superman. I read off somebody had messaged me or sent me something somewhere, and I read it, and I'm like, no, they called me a kid. They said because I only know Snyder stuff, I'm some kid that doesn't know comics and doesn't know anything. And I replied with my qualifications, and I'm like, no, I'm not a kid. I've been collecting for 40, dealing with 30. I understand Superman. We may have a different interpretation and different opinion on Superman, and that's fine. But that's not a weapon for me to use against you. That's
did they leave that comment while you were doing the show?
No, it was on a different format that they probably, to their defense, it's a personal format where it's not the Sci-Fi Center. So
okay, yeah, because
I rarely get get people that know what I do in this life. That hello, Red.
How's it going, Red? Seeing somebody in the comments looking at you in a comic book store saying you don't understand comic books,
and that doesn't mean I know everything. Trust me, there's shit in here that I'm not as versed on as others. But when it comes to Superman, long before I did this, I knew what Superman was. I had an impression of Superman. I understood what Superman, to be, and Superman has been consistent for the most part throughout his existence. And that's something I can't say when people ask me, well, why Batman? And no, Batman has not been consistent to his core. If you look at going all the way back to the radio serials, to the Fleischman stuff, to everything up till now, for the most part, Superman has been consistent and has all these things happening about and around him relative to where he is in like the 80s, 90s, 40, but Superman has always dealt with horrific stuff. He was born of a World War II generation where 100 million people worldwide died. So, I think people forget that, but yeah, that's what, just because somebody disagrees with you on one of these fictional characters doesn't mean you don't know anything about those characters. You just have a different opinion about the character. That's all. Let's see. And then the rest, after I said that, the rest of it was fixing technical issues that I still don't know if I fixed. So you didn't miss too much. I'm not super excited, but I'm going into the movie with an open mind. I'm going to go into the same open mind with Superman 2025 as I did Peacemaker, as I did the Suicide Squad. I'm not hating on it. You're not going to see me being one of these people like, this is not Superman. I'm not pre-hating. This takes so much energy to pre-hate on something. It takes less energy just to disengage. Somebody asked me about Tron. I've never been into the Tron franchise. I've never been into the Tron franchise. But you know what? A new trailer came out. Thank you. A new trailer came out. I don't care. But I'm not going to be like, fuck Tron. No. I disengage. If it's not something I'm into, I'm not going to pre-hate on it. Just, dude, blood pressure is a serious thing. Why raise it over some shit that doesn't exist? They don't exist, guys. Don't get me wrong. I still want you to come buy comics, but don't make this part of your brain power. This is not. If I go after a character and I think a character sucks, I'm not saying you suck. I think a character sucks. I think that interpretation is not for me. That doesn't mean you're a dick for buying into that because you love that version of the character. That means I think you're a piece of crap. No. And I think that's what's happening here. It's like it's a body part I'm coming after, or somebody's coming after. It's like you don't have to defend these characters like that.
By the way, William, a couple quick questions I had to first of all, whatever right there is do you have a lot of customers when you're streaming the store who actually walk up and ask hey, what are you doing right there? Do you do a YouTube?
Nah, they figure it out. They clearly see me. They see me looking into the camera. The setup is obvious, so when you're walking up, I can see you on my cameras, and I know you're coming. And a lot of times during this time of night, it's my regulars, so they know they've been in here before when the show is happening. Some of them have literally purchased stuff, like you said. One of my regulars might come in while we're on there tonight, depending on how long the show goes. So it's just the reality of the show. But most people who've never been in, they see it and they just tiptoe in and they just do their thing, and then that's when I'll pause and let's hand it over to you, and I'll go over and I'll take care of them.
We had that. I think it was about a month ago. We had somebody. Again, you were like special ordered something from the Sci-Fi Center. No, he hasn't. But they were asking about, hey, is it coming yet? Well, I can't come in now because I'm drunk.
Oh yeah, that was a guy that wanted to sell me a Godzilla statue, and he ended up selling it to somebody else because we couldn't come together on a number.
That's it. Well, and also, since we're talking about Superman, do you want to? Because we didn't get much more, unless I missed something. We didn't get much more detail than what was already released for the CinemaCon stuff regarding what James Gunn said on stage. And of course, there was that one kind of soundbite you and I were sort of ruminating over. Do you want to still hold off on that?
Yeah, I want to hold off because I haven't gotten it. And if you've got more info, send it to me in the background so that we can. I don't want to. It's intriguing, but I don't want to talk without.
Okay. And by the way, guys,
we'll have a show tomorrow night too. We'll have another show if we can find out. Let's dig into it because otherwise I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Guys, we're not talking about anything like top secret here. We're just this one. Some of the reporting on CinemaCon, there was just one thing from when James Gunn was on stage that he talked about relating to this movie that William and I shared with William, and we mutually agreed, this is pretty intriguing, especially considering a lot of the angles we've taken discussing this in the larger DC lexicon. So I asked him, do you want to kind of break this down here? He said, yeah, but I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more to chew on with that. I want some more meat on that.
Yeah, because that's a big topic. That's one of those topics that we want to that we might want to have a little bit more depth in.
You don't, with what it was, and you guys will understand. We talk about it. You don't want this to be something that was like you're trying to dissect something that was like a throwaway, or that was presented as kind of like a throwaway comment, especially because the way it was, it sounds like, I mean, we're gonna have to talk about it anyway because it's it's gonna be in the movie. It's gonna play into the movie. So we're gonna talk about it come July. It's just that are we gonna talk about it between now and then?
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I mean, why? Fourth is so the $2 you give me is pretty much going to match us getting demonetized. So at some point, we'll show them. We'll show them. We can totally show them. That'll give me a chance to go to the bathroom. And Megan 2.0, I haven't seen that. I know we're promoting that. And wait, do I still have this shit from the last one? Let's see. Oh yeah, we got it. To give you guys an understanding of just how the sheer amount of stuff I get when we promote these damn movies, I still got T-shirts on Megan 1, so I know we're getting T-shirts. They get wristbands and stuff. So yeah, trust me, I'm gonna be showing that trailer a lot.
How much do you usually like when you get like promotional material, that ties into an upcoming release? Like, how much of that do you usually still have left after the movie's kind of come and gone?
A few. There are some movies where I had a ton of stuff because they sent it to us last minute, like the Lord of the Rings stuff. I had a ton of Lord of the Rings stuff. I mean, I went down to schools and said, "Here, you want this?"
Well, that wasn't like marketed well, so that's probably why you had a ton left.
And plus, it was on streaming. There's the Dune. I still have a lot of Dune stuff left, but they went heavy with the advertisement, and there's preset amounts. So even a big market, a small market is going to get the same thing. So I am, so I get a lot. Sometimes I don't get anything at all. Sometimes I just get the seats to give away. Aquaman, we got a ton of stuff. Joker, we got a ton of stuff to give away. And a lot of times I'm trying to make sure I give it away, because it sits around here and gets, I don't have a lot of room. I don't have a lot of
just collects dust. Yeah, so I do a lot for you. My favorite one was when you got the transparent tickets for Invisible Man.
Oh. I made those. Those.
Okay, yeah. Well, because that's always whenever they find a way, or whenever you find a way, they get really creative with the marketing. It's like those are always the most fun.
Yeah, when it comes to marketing and selling myself, I have a lot of disadvantages up against other franchises out here. So there's the advantages that I do have. I have to use them. My imagination. There are places that are 3 times my size that have 3 or 4 people involved in the financing. And like that, but Nobody feels sorry for you. You have to outthink people sometimes and come up with creative shit, and that's what we do. So yeah, and like I said, the marketing we do for movies is part of that. That's one of the biggest, biggest traffic. That's what gets my locals out of the outer edges of the town. A movie, a T-shirt, a poster, because a lot of times, like I said, it's really expensive to take a family. I know people that come to us on a regular basis that would not go to the movies if we didn't send them.
Oh, we were talking about the whole tariff thing the other night too, which again, I really hope that I was asking. I really hope they end up like pushing the brakes on that, because that's definitely not helping the country at all right now, without getting too much into politics. But one thing I would kind of expect to be kind of an offshoot of that, as far as like the movie theater business goes, is like, because I have my AMC A-list membership. That's when I decide to go over to AMC, use that, for my one ticket. It's 3 week. It's actually going to bump up to 4 week for like $2 more, I think, at the end of May. But that's usually how I get a movie ticket. I would expect, and I'm actually kind of like surprised. I'd love them like what the numbers on this are right now, but I would expect like in over the next year, like everything you're talking about, it's like I would expect that to increase. Like I would expect that more memberships to kind of come out of that.
Well, the biggest problem is whenever you have prices going up and it's a tariff, it doesn't just affect the industry that's the aim, like the steel industry thing. There's supply chains that are connected to everything. So even though you may not think you're being affected by certain things, you are being affected. If you're buying a car, if you're driving a car, if your insurance, a lot of these things that happen, if you rely on something that requires lumber, things like that, you're going to be involved in the supply chain. Me in Vegas, doesn't matter what industry gets a tariff on. If you're a business like mine, that is 78% of the revenue is coming from tourism. What ends up happening with tariffs and prices going up is that affects your disposable income. So Vegas coming to Vegas from the outside is a luxury. And if things get expensive or you get laid off or things like that, that affects your ability to do that. Even if you can come out, if you're still being affected by this, what you're spending goes down. So that affects the economy. That affects everything else. That affects my clientele base. Some of these guys are coming out here for a lot of different reasons.
And that's why I said it's like I really hope that's like with the impact we're already seeing with that, it's like that these finally kind of get okay. We got to walk these back because this is not going to be benefit.
So far, there's been no walking back. I'm watching because even my 401k has been affected by this. You lost trillions of dollars in value. When stock markets go down, even if you're not directly involved with them, if you have a 401k, you have mutuals, you have things like that that's what your 401k is invested to. If you look at your 401k, most of you, depending on where your investment was, took a really hard crash. So that's people's retirements. I'm not old enough to where I'm worried about that right now, but I know people who are nearing the end. They're wanting to roll things over into IRAs and things like that. What's going on right now in the news and with these tariffs is affecting. It affects me as a small business owner because, like I said, we're my customer clientele. But all small business owners will be affected by this because no matter what country it is, it's a global economy. And something you have or made is made somewhere else. A vehicle may cross the border between here and Mexico 6 or 7 times in the assembly process. So there's nobody that's going to be untouched. They may think they're untouched, but it's really not. Is Brad's mic glitching or mine? Who knows? Yeah, prices go up. It sucks, and I'm already starting to see certain things. And also shipping takes a hit. It goes up when you're trying to you sell stuff online and get it back in. Gas. I mean, everything is part of it. And even if you're not affected by it, a lot of it is the fear of the effects of it. You see a lot of people, like sometimes certain tariffs don't kick in until like a couple of days, and you see people reacting to the reality of the tariffs because they're just not going to wait for them to hit. They're gonna react.
Aaron asks, is anyone here going to see? I thought about because once I finished up the pre-test today, it was like just basically the weekend at that point. So started, but I was just way too tired to go to see a movie tonight. I may go see it tomorrow. It's doing pretty well from what it's doing.
It might be another Mario Brothers, but it's not for me. I thought it looked stupid, but
it's surprising because it's. I thought now this speaks to my I've never played Minecraft. My nephew's crazy about it, but I've never played. But I thought I'd do well. I think it was it's pretty fair to say at this point it's probably the biggest hit of the year so far theatrically.
We're midway, or we're a quarter of the way. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. What, dude? Did they pay you for this movie? Dude, Megan 2 is my own most anticipated movie.
You need to lead a battle angel with Tom Cruise stunts in it. More. Okay.
I don't care more or care for or about Alita Battle Angel. T2 is all-time classic. I don't know if any movie's going to touch that, but we'll take a look at it when we go get towards the end of the show. But no, I'm not. I never had any plans on seeing the Minecraft movie, and nothing's changed. I'm glad it's doing well, though. Let's see. All right, thank you for the tribute. We'll get to your trailers. My goodness. All right, 30 viewers on YouTube. Yeah, 30 viewers. About 60 overall. So this is one of the first nights where we're split evenly. All right. So, Abe, listen. We only have 2 hours left in April 5th, 2025. But 31 years ago today, and someone did message me and ask me why I didn't put Lane Staley on here. We'll talk about Lane Staley sometime, and I know he passed away in 2002 on this date, and his life meant something too. So this not to slight Lane Staley as he rests in peace. But Kurt Cobain, the effect that Kurt Cobain had on music and the death of Kurt Cobain 31 years ago, in my opinion, as somebody who was a fan of the music and was there on the scene, listening to this music, listening to the vibe that will create the post grunge era, which is my favorite in music. Kurt Cobain's death ended the grunge era for the most part. Now, those bands still made music. Don't get me wrong. The bands still made music. Pearl Jam to this day is making music at Soundgarden until Chris Cornell passed away. Was making music. He was making music all the way up till the end. Alice in Chains has replaced their lead singer about 15 some odd years ago. So the artist went on, but the atmosphere died that day, in my opinion. It was never the same. I don't think anybody wanted to be experiencing the music and the atmosphere once the person that was considered to be the harbinger of that genre was gone, and in the way that he went. And one of the things that when you see us and we do our American Foundation for Suicide Prevention fundraisers and things like that, and I always think of Chris Cornell, I always think of Kurt Cobain, because they were going through a lot, and the way they dealt with it was through their music. And when their music wasn't enough, this is what ended up happening. I can only imagine what the world would have been like if the internet or things that were, that we use today to help us through these situations were more available to him. Now, granted, he had other issues. He had an ulcer. He was, doing heroin. He was, but a lot of it that he dealt with was depression. And, I don't know how, you guys may not be big Nirvana fans, but if you go through the discography and you go through the writings and you read the lyrics, even if you're not playing the music, if you just read the lyrics out loud, what they had written, when he committed suicide, things started to click that I did not understand. I wasn't that very old when he died. I was 20 when he killed himself. That was just about to. I'm sorry, I was 19. I was 19 when Kurt Cobain killed himself. And like I said, no internet. We found out through MTV. He had gone missing a couple of days. He had left a rehab stint. He had gone missing. It turns out he went back to his home in Washington, and that's where he did it. I know there's been conspiracy theories and everything else, but the world stopped. 1994 was a weird year. You had OJ, and you had this. I mean, I can't even remember a lot of it. I mean, I know I can't even remember. No one won the World Series that year because there was a strike. I know the Rangers won the Stanley Cup because that was a huge deal. They hadn't won in 44 years. But yeah, this was big, and I don't know whether it was voluntarily or involuntarily, but the vibe in the scene that maybe grunge was dying out anyway. Who knows? Because it came on the scene in the late 80s and was prevalent in the early 90s, and it had been around for 3 or 4 years. He had just released an album. In Utero wasn't that out that long before all this went down. In Utero came out in 1993. He killed himself 4 months into 1994, so they hadn't even gone on tour for that yet, I don't believe. Pearl Jam had just released their second album. Then you had Stone Temple Pilots coming out. You could kind of feel the post-grunge punk type of situation that would be Bush, that would be Oasis, that would be, a lot of these other bands, but it wasn't there yet. These bands, the grunge bands, led by Nirvana, was still there. They were still getting heavy airplay. Before Spotify, before any of these things, these bands were still getting heavy airplay. And Kurt Cobain and Nirvana hadn't even reached the prime of what they were doing. He was 27 years old. He hadn't even reached. He would be 56, 57 today. Eddie Vedder is still performing. Hell, the Stones are still performing. So I can't believe that if he'd have been able to make it past that moment. But yeah, April 5th, other than being First Contact Day, by the way, happy First Contact Day, everybody. But April 5th is forever going to be, for me, it's going to be, where was I when I heard? And I remember hearing about this from Kurt Loder. Because I'd come home from my other job. I'd had 4 hours before I had to be at the next job. And so I took like a 4-hour nap. And as I'm dozing off, the breaking, how MTV used to have that breaking news, and it was Kurt Loder letting everybody know that Kurt Cobain had committed suicide. And Courtney Love read his suicide letter, and I remember, and this is another one of the things that I'll remember is watching that live, and this scene was everywhere. This scene, I know there were scenes here in Vegas, but mainly if you look at Seattle, the scene where a lot of this came from, you had a lot of memorials. This was the one that took place in Washington, and this is the group of kids listening to Courtney Love read the suicide letter out loud over an intercom system. So Lane Staley would die 8 years later. But when he passed away, the movement was already dead. Alice in Chains was very much a part of this scene as anyone else. But Lane Staley, there's a couple of things about Lane Staley. He died after his death didn't end the movement. The movement ended, in my opinion, with Kurt Cobain. Lane Staley had an openly known heroin problem. I was supposed to see Alice in Chains out here. It was supposed to be Metallica, Fight with Rob Halford, and Collective Soul. Weird bunch of bands put together, but that's the way they did it back then. Suicidal Tendencies had to take, and this was back in '95. So this was years before he passed. Suicidal Tendencies at the last minute had to come to the Silver Bowl and fill that slot because Lane Staley couldn't make it because he had overdosed. So we knew about he was very open about it. When he died of a heroin overdose in 2002, I'm not saying that it was, predictable, expected, but when somebody and they openly tell you they can't kick heroin, it's only going to end the one way. And I remember hearing about him passing. He was only 35. Hearing about him passing and not being surprised whatsoever. I mourned, I grieved because I loved Alice in Chains, but there was no surprise at all. And some of the pictures that people took of him, before he overdosed, he did not look well. With Kurt Cobain, I mean, it was hard to, like I said, if you're not a psychiatrist, you don't know. And I'm just in the audience. I'm just listening to the music. And like I said with Chris Cornell, listening to Soundgarden after Chris Cornell committed suicide, it's a different experience because that was what they were doing. That was how they got through their angst. A lot of these guys went through a lot of stuff in their childhood, and the only way out wasn't the money. I don't think Kurt Cobain cared about having a lot of money. I think Kurt Cobain cared about creativity and things that made him feel better. And according to his suicide note, his he didn't think music or anything could make him feel better anymore. And so April 5th. It was 1994. Never forget that day. Never forget that day. And like I said, I know people say the day the music dies when Richie Valens, Big Bopper, all died in a plane crash. For our Generation X, this was it. The tone, at least here in Vegas, changed. The type of music that was it. Even the people that were performing the music, it seemed like they moved in a different direction. And like I said, they would get replaced by what I consider to be that 1993 to 1998 window of time to be, the best music I've ever heard. But like I said, it did so on the shoulders of grunge music. Grunge music, believe it or not, did so on the shoulders of heavy metal. And when he went, it was like an unofficial end to that particular era, that particular type of music. Also, Kurt Cobain committing suicide on April 5th, 1994, changed the way people listened to all the bands going forward, whether they were grunge, whether they were postmodern, whether they were post-grunge, whether they were new metal. And it changed the way people approached the listening to the music. Some people were already in tune because they like I said, kids back then didn't have the internet. They had the music and they wanted to be around people who felt the same way about that music. That was their communal thing. But even people who aren't going through a lot of things like that, weren't going through depression. Now you're listening to this music. Now you're having, what was when he's saying what is he talking about? Heart-shaped box. I had one interpretation of it, but now what was he really saying? Same thing with Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell, Fell on Black Days. I can never listen to that song the same way I did before he passed. But as far as I know, the entire time that he was writing music, that was a suicide letter to him. I hate to think that it was that way, but it's given the results, it's hard not to consider that. So commemorating the 31st an anniversary, I wish I never even had to, but like I said, it comes up, and that music was such a big part of my, my coming of age as a young adult and a young business owner at that time, because I was open then. And
that was your first year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was my first year. And that music, Nirvana played in the background. Bleach played in the background. All right. No Alternative. That was a band that did a lot of all that played in the background on the tape. And then when I wasn't playing them on the tape, the Edge, 103.5, the Edge here was the alternative. And they played the hell out of it. And they would play the stuff that didn't get played on the radio. Nirvana had a lot of stuff that didn't get played on the radio. You had to call in and request it unless you had a kick-ass DJ that just said, I know you guys are out there. I'm going to play verse, chorus, verses. I'm going to play, Rape Me, because Rape Me wasn't a song. It was one of their popular songs, but given the title, a lot of stations didn't want to play it. They would play it. They would compromise with us. They would play it later on at night. But Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, it just all seemed, the music seemed insignificant for a little bit when matched up against, one of the practitioners of it is dead. And I know that's not the way people would think now, but you're talking about 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, half of them going through some of the same shit that Kurt Cobain was. And I remember, we didn't have 988 then. You had suicide hotlines. I know that the numbers spiked because a lot of these people were going through stuff, and now the guy that was helping them get with it just did that. So a lot of people were worried about, was there going to be this big wave of people who listen to that music, and there were some issues here. I'm not gonna lie, I knew some people, but at the same time, it was tough. I don't think there's any other instance that made me rethink music or rethink a genre of music more so than this did, because the music still goes on, but you just listen to it and interpret it in a different way. And that's what Kurt Cobain's death meant to me. And it's something, like I said, I know it was 31 years ago. I remember it like it was like last Wednesday or some shit. In fact, I remember it being on a Tuesday. I think that it happened. It was on a weekday. And, that's a tough one to think about and relive, but it is an important part, a grim part, but it's an important part of music history. But like I said, for those of you Alice in Chains fans that are going to come after me, I know I can feel it coming right now, because I no disrespect to Lane Staley, but Lane Staley's death in relation to Kurt Cobain's death ended an era. Unfortunately, what Lane Staley was going through at the time and all the way up to his death, like I said, hearing that he passed and how he passed was no shock. It was more like a damn, that sucks. We were hoping you'd make it through, because he was a talent. He was a talent, and he went to leave at 35. Kurt Cobain leaving at 27. These guys weren't even in the prime of their musical careers, and to have them gone like that. Chris Cornell was only 53 years old. And it's another telling thing. And that's why we do what we do when we show these movies, when we put that number up there, because you don't know what happiness is for someone else. To me, I got money, I got women, I got fat burgers, I got houses, I got all my bills paid. You think in the material sense that's all you need. Chris Cornell had everything. It had creative freedom. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and we'll never know what's enough for somebody, and that's why, when you see the signs, get somebody involved, I'm not qualified to a certain extent to help, but I'll get you a number.
And with Chris Cornell, I mean, it's like he was, his suicide, he was found like an hour
after he got off the stage. His and Anthony Bourdain's. Anthony Bourdain's is like somebody coming in and every day and punching me in the stomach. There's a guy that's on my Facebook page that posts things about Anthony Bourdain. He'll post his quotes. I can't. It's hard for me to read because I'm like, every time when he passed away, I remember posting when the world needed hundreds and thousands of more Anthony Bourdains and not one less. And he just seemed like a guy, a free spirit that was just taking things as they come and encouraging us to. He would always say, go sit down at a bar with a total stranger and eat some strange food that you never eat. Open your mind up to some other processor or some other point. He was always making that point to where try something new, get out of your comfort zone, and that's how you grow. But even he was going through things that I couldn't have imagined he was going through. And you just never know. I look at a guy like that, 62, 61 years old, happy, traveling, is doing what he dreamed he should be doing, and that wasn't enough. So you never know what's going on. And like I said, from Kurt Cobain, all these guys that left us too soon, don't assume that everybody around you is having a good day. Don't assume that that the smiling, the laughing person, the clown is having a good day. Put the information out there. You'll never be able to detect some of these things, but they can react to it. They know what they're going through, and you'll hope that somebody who's going through something will look at a number and say, "Hey, it's only 3 fucking numbers. Maybe I should push this. What's the worst that could happen? I'm already about to do this. I'm reaching out. Maybe somebody will reach out to them. You never know." But never assume, because all these people we just mentioned, I would assume that these people are the happiest men in the world. They weren't. So let's bring things back up. And I am going to, Brad, if you could do me a favor for 4th. Let's bring up the Tron trailer, and then we'll bring up the Megan 2.1 on, and we'll just go ahead and get demonetized. I can't imagine we were going to make $7 off the stream for monetization anyway, so that's how much you put. Yeah, the day music. Yeah, that was it just sucked. Silverchair. I actually know who that band is. No more Superman movies from these guys. I think big pocket like Amazon's and Apple, somebody will do it with it, but it'll still go on. It just won't be worth it for Warner Brothers necessarily, but it'll be worth it for someone else, and Warner Brothers will just read through. How you doing, Larry? What's going on? If you want to hear the 90s, listen to 90s Nails. Which, in fact, I'm going to listen to that right now. I love 90s Nails. They were their own thing. That industrial, we'll go into that one day, because I don't think industrial gets enough credit after its genre is going on.
All right, so here's the Tron Ares. So go ahead and hit play. And right? Everybody ready?
I'm ready. I'll be right back, because I said, I'm skipping the movie, so why am I?
My first time seeing the trailer. This is like the reaction you guys are seeing.
Unit 12, acknowledging dispatch. Already in pursuit.
I'm looking for something. Something I do not understand. Ready? Because there's no going back.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, there's 9 Inch Nails. That's a reason to listen.
Real
Quick, real quick. Okay. I know you're fucking around, but I know people are going to read that statement, and I'm going to make sure that they understand what I said. No, music itself did not die. The grunge movement felt like it did, from my point of view. It's all going to depend on the individual, but I know you're joking, but like I said, I know other people are going to watch this. I want to make sure that I'm not saying the music. Some of the best music, like I said, I've ever listened to was overlapping and coming through to 1998, but he was such a face and a vibe. Yeah. Of that movement. When he died, it felt like the air had been sucked out of the room, and it was no longer worth it to move on in that particular direction. And I know I'm not the only person in that era that felt that way, but that's how I felt, and the people around me in the scene, in the radio stations, it all reflected it. So for those of you who are coming in and are watching this, Azteca likes to troll me, but I want you guys to see that in context. Yeah.
Aaron has a funny one here. It's like Ketchup Productions.
You know what though? Listen, I need to find out where they're getting their cash from, because they're not making anything off of these Warner Brothers movies.
Yeah, so I mean, God, imagine the irony of that. It's like, what if they restored the Snyderverse?
Oh, okay. You was referring to somebody else. All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure I saw it popped up. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I just gotta know. I gotta know at some point, like, well, how did this name come about? Like Ketchup Entertainment.
Well, maybe it's a Heinz Corporation, and that's
maybe the people behind it like have like a history in like the restaurant business. All right, so next one's Megan 2.
Yeah, let's do Megan 2. I mean, that to me, that movie looks like something I'm gonna pass. Tron. But if we promote it, who knows? I might go. I just have never been a fan of the Tron, even when I was a kid.
That looks intriguing to me. It's like, I'm not like a massive Tron fan myself, but that does look intriguing to me. So I'll probably give it a look. So we'll see about that. Funny thing too, Megan's actually my sister's name. So
yeah, I heard this one is more like Term. Yeah. I don't know. The
first one. Let me request that Megan is one of my sister's names. We got one other one in the chat tonight. Who's always in the chat.
Stop it. I was going to go edit free on this show now.
All right, here's the Megan 2.0 trailer, everybody.
Music is going to get us kicked off.
I'll admit, there were some bugs in my programming. It's hardly fair to blame me for that. But one thing hasn't changed. I will do whatever it takes to protect Katie. What the hell is this? You put me in this plastic Teletubby?
Prove you can be trusted, maybe we'll give you an upgrade.
Mrs. Forrester, we have a problem. We're hunting an autonomous android named Amelia. She was built using your design for Megan.
How is this possible? You deleted it.
Apparently you didn't. Nothing in her arsenal can stop her. She's gone rogue, killing anyone who's contributed to her creation.
I think I did it again.
And you and Katie are next.
I know how to stop Amelia. She's getting more powerful. Soon she'll be the most dangerous weapon on the planet. Put me in a body and I'll help you stop her.
I remember what happened last time. You threatened to rip out my tongue and put me in a wheelchair.
I was upset.
Look, she wants to help us. Everyone deserves a second chance.
You would like us to rebuild a deranged robot in order to catch another one.
I prefer I give you a printout that you can read at your own pace.
Okay, Megan. Time to give you an upgrade. Anything you'd like to add?
I want to be stronger, faster. Hey, so remember the time I strangled you and set the lab on fire? I want you to know that won't happen again.
Thank you so much.
And while you're at it, make me taller. All right, meat sacks. Let's get to work.
To play.
I was programmed to protect Katie. The only question is, are you going to stand in my way? Hold on to your vaginas.
I don't care if she did kill 4 people. She is a smoking hot warrior princess.
I'll make you a deal. You can kill Gemma, but don't touch Katie.
Megan.
You know, I noticed something kind of interesting in that trailer. William. We get to there's a fair amount of kung fu in it.
Well,
Like Aaron,
you know what? It's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's going to make a lot of money. I don't know if I'm going to go see it in a theater. I know we're promoting it because I've already been told we are. So guess what? I get more pink and black shit in the store to give away.
Aaron, did you see that one dummy she was Megan was training on? It's called a mukjang.
Okay,
it's really closely. It's used in a lot of forms of kung fu. It's mostly closely associated with Wing Chun, but there's also a version of it for Choi Li Foot. Oh yeah.
You Megan fans, I'm pretty sure you tuned in for that. Bit of whatever.
No. You can't stop us now. We can talk about this now on here. Aaron, Reyes is right. Yeah. I got that. See, I get where Ford's coming through too, where you made like the Alita.
It looks like a hoot. I predict that's going to be. And I know they don't spend a lot of money on those. Looks like a lot of fun.
Again, it's also Blumhouse. I mean, they spend like about $8 on every movie they make.
The first one was absolutely absurdly ridiculous, but it was a fun movie. I'm not going to see Tron, but I'm going to go see that. Just because it's going to be fun, and I have to because I'm going to be taking a bunch of people with me. So, looks like fun. Looks like the humor is placed. I see it. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of half the movies that are coming out this year that are going to make tons of money are not going to be for me. Minecraft, I don't care how much money it makes. I'm not doing it. But you know what? I'm glad that other people are going to these movies and enjoying them. You know what? If you care about the box office, these are the kind of movies you need to come see. These are the unexpected surprises that you need to have. I wouldn't have called Minecraft making anything, but the fact that it is, that, you know what, maybe that changes the pressure dynamic at Warner Brothers to be like, not everything has to be a home run. You see, you can do these things and you can diversify yourself and you can set yourself up for multiple pathways to success instead of Babe Ruth, 2 outs, 2 strikes. Here comes a fastball. So yeah, if anything, like even a Tron thing, I'm more interested in listening to the sound score for Tron than I am seeing the movie. And it's 9 Inch Nails, so I mean that's right there alone. I never ever needed to hear this from you. All right, I want that picture expunged from my thought process. Let's see. I'm your man. You didn't need to spell correct. You did not. And neither version of it. Boys the Men, that'll get us demonetized, and then Britney Spears to get us demonetized. But that's okay. We're already just by showing the. You know what? A lot of movies that I think are jokes make good. Listen, it not banned for me doesn't mean it's not going to be successful. That's why. Hey, listen, if Superman bombs, I don't think Superman is going to bomb. By the way.
It's a question of like, you know,
will it meet the expectations of the hedge fund people?
That's which, like, you know, will it bomb in their eyes is probably like the better way to, you know, kind of question to ask.
Yeah, and that's the you know what, that's the most important, unfortunately, and it shouldn't be. That ends up being the most important one.
Well, because we've seen with this studio in the last 10 years, like they will look at hits and see them as bombs.
Oh, and this one needs immediate cash in order for the people to sail away. You know, Dave Zaslav can't get on his gold-plated helicopter and go fly away. If you know, I think he needs the company to be at a certain level for him to get the maximum value of money. But like I said, I'm not going to say I don't care about Superman. I'm going to go see the movie. I'm going to have as much fun as I can, and after we're done. After everybody's done their happy dance and taken aim at all their fellow Superman fans, and we figure out, you know, what kind of money it made and all that, and the lights come back on, I don't want to hear more talk about Superman. Only talk I want to hear about Superman is how it gets me to Hal, John, Guy Gardner, and any other Green Lantern that's going to be in Lanterns, because this is the mission.
Lanterns.
This is the mission. I'm on board. Listen, I'll play ball with your Superman and in the dog. You know, fine, for sure. Let's do it. Whether I don't like it or not, you're not going to get it on. Nope. Yeah, it's great. It's great. It was better than sex. All right. It was better than intercourse. All right. I will tell you what you need. You know, especially if it doesn't make the hedge fund level money, and they're like thinking, well, we don't even know if we have an audience for this next step. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Don't even ask that question. Right? Don't be coming in here. Well, it only made $600 million, and now we have no.
Well,
No.
If it only makes $600, then yeah,
you're in trouble. Yeah, you need to stop. I don't want to hear none of this. Well, we have to rethink we have to reevaluate our plans about lanterns. It takes a lot for me to walk away from something, and you're like you'd be like an abusive spouse that changed themselves out for a different looking spouse because you're a different company, but you still got an ashtray you're going to part my head with type of deal. I'm willing to hang around and dodge all the stuff that you're throwing at me. But if you restructure or do anything after you told me who's going to be running lanterns, that will finally do it for me. If they get reactionary and I don't get some of the stuff that I really, like I said, I'm a team player. You guys get your fluffy dog, you guys get your crazy colored Superman and your nostalgia and your throwbacks. You guys, I'll clap with you. It's great. It's great. It's wonderful. As long as once that dust settles and the plushie dog stops selling and our mind is on lanterns, and you need to be at Comic-Con. I don't want to hear, we're skipping No. You need to be at Comic-Con, James Gunn, Peter Safran, and you need to have the cast of lanterns there. Hell, you need to have the cast of Supergirl there. Momoa needs to be. Robert Downey Jr. was on the stage for a movie that wasn't coming out for 3 years at the time that he came out. I need to see everybody you got for lanterns, and you got a full cast. You're already starting to film, so I want to see you there. Skip me the lanterns. That's it. All right, that's my road. My road to lanterns is Superman. So guess what? That's the road we're taking.
Reyes is PuppyCon 2025.
Yeah, I mean, bring crypto. Bring your dog. He's got a real dog that he based that on. I shit on the first creator of Minecraft because it's Minecraft. That doesn't mean it's bad. I think the game is silly. So I have it. I mean, it's consistent. But you know what? Mario, all these things that I'm not into, I'm happy for the people who made them. But William, you think you will have a theater rented out for a Suits premiere? Yes. I'm either going to get a bunch of. Maybe they won't think I'm such a small market if this movie did need. I'm either going to have Warner Brothers do their thing where they give me a bunch and we do the Aquaman thing where we have a bunch. If they do not, I will do my own theater like we did for No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, and Nosferatu. I am definitely going to do one way or another. If Warner Brothers decides they don't want to do a screen out here, which I cannot believe, we will, the Sci-Fi Center will be doing, and we'll be doing the cosplay and everything else. And for me, listen, for anybody who thinks that I don't know why you think I'm anti-gun or I'm not the gun haters or whatever you want to call them. They got stupid names for this stuff. If it just means that there's more people interested in Superman, that's a win for me across the board. Just him mentioning Supergirl has done wonders for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I want you talking about comic book movies, even if I'm not going to go see them at first time, and I go see them all. But if I'm not interested, and you're opening up the conversation about Superman, Batman is a lot easier. Superman is harder. It's harder. So yeah, I will take any help I can get selling Superman. So it's going to be a win for us. So yeah, we'll definitely I'll definitely be doing the theater. Now here's the thing: I plan to be at Comic-Con at that point in time. So it may be the Sunday night we get back. If they do if Warner's does an advanced screening, it would be on the Tuesday prior to us leaving. So, yeah, yes on both occasions. I think Jurassic World Rebirth, I don't care what anybody says, is going to make $1 billion. That's a proven franchise. I think Superman is going to be sorely helped by that fact, by that traffic, and I think Superman is going to be helped by Fantastic Four. People are thinking, well, those two movies are going to crush Superman. No, they're not. No, they're not. I'm telling you guys, when you start a conversation, all the ears around the conversation benefit. So yeah, July is going to be a good month. You're going to have people saying the theaters are back. They're not really for that month. Yeah, they're back. But you're going to have, you could possibly have $2 billion being made in theaters through the month of July. So that's a good month. I think Superman will be fun, but not look like a step forward to John and 70. Yeah, I think it's going to be, but it's like I said, I have preferences when it comes to Superman. Already I know that this movie doesn't meet those so far aesthetically, but I'm still waiting for the story. Peacemaker, I'm not a guy who says, "Oh wow, the guy in the toilet bowl hat looks good," but I enjoy Peacemaker, so I never know. Because when Travis, like if you're talking about Travis now, said it can make $400 million, that movie is not making $400 million. It's going to make what movie are we talking about?
I think he's talking about Superman. Or, well, of course, it's going to make $300 million before because you need 300 to get to 400. So of course,
I think that I think the bottom dollar this makes is 450. I don't think this is going to bomb. 450 will terrify the stockholders, but 450 is a bottom. I'm guessing because we said between 450 and 650. I'm guessing closer to 650, give or take about $50 million. I would not be surprised at a $700 million movie. I would not be surprised be honest with you, if the dog connects, because it's going to be the kids that bring back people, the mom and dad. The mom and dad will be like, "Oh, that was a great movie. That's cool." Once the kids see the dog, they're going to come back and they're going to have that damn dog with them. They're going to have the plushie. They're going to have the pup. They're going to be cosplaying as the dog. The dog is the key for that rewatchability for the kids, because it's going to be the kids that drag you back to that again. So I wouldn't be surprised with $1 billion. Do I think the odds are that it's going to make $1 billion? No. I think it's going to make good money, though. I think Superman is going to make good money. Now, once again, we keep going back to this. How good is good enough for the golfers and the hedge fund people and the people who are not, don't care about the progress of the IP? They want the money. So I hope that 700 is. I hope 600 is, because if it makes 650, somebody needs to step up and make a case and say, you know what? You ran this shit into not you guys, but the IP has been rammed into the ground for 7 years. This is good. Somebody needs to make the case. This is good. I know you wanted more, but this is good. We can get to more. Now we need to start talking about Lanterns and how Lanterns sets up the next movie that you're doing. We start building that momentum. Like I said on the Vodka stream last night, the three things that the DC on screen has not had ever is the benefit of the doubt and momentum and faith in their product. If they ever get those three things lined up, they could be unstoppable, and it could start now. So I wish all the luck, but once again, you see that scroll at the bottom? I don't care how you get there at this point. You just need to get to Lanterns. And if you're like, well, they're already producing Lanterns, you don't have anything to worry about. Excuse me? Zaslav cut stuff that's done. Zaslav canned stuff that is done, in the can, ready to go somewhere. There is no stage of Lanterns that I'm going to feel safe about until Lanterns is on that screen or on this computer screen on my phone saying, and I hear that HBO Max static. When I hear that and I see this logo coming up, that's when we know it's happening. Because you could get coyoted. You can get Batgirls at any time, especially if they panic and if they react. Oh, it only made 500, 600 million. We got to reshuffle. No, you don't. No, you don't. Identify what a win is and go forward. You didn't make the money you wanted to make. Guess what? You don't blow things up. You recalibrate. You improve. So give me the Lanterns. All right. PuppyCon. Let's see. Next year's Comic-Con. And have next year's Comic-Con.
dogs.
I don't know about Hall H. Hall H isn't people friendly. I don't know if there's going to be a. Thank you for the $5 super chats. William Brad, thoughts on the Beatles movies releasing in theaters simultaneously in 2028? I think that's a brilliant strategy.
I was not aware of that.
Brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
That to me is because if there's enough content to cover each Beatle, the people who love the Beatles are going to want to see that rapid fire. That's a brilliant strategy. What do you?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's again, this was something first time hearing about is Aaron's comments. So Yeah, if you got one for all four of them, that's like, yeah, that's like release some core.
Otherwise, you got a 6-hour movie. So that. And Beatles fans will go see that shit. They'll binge watch that all one day. Normal fans will be like, okay, I'll watch Paul today.
Here's and they kind of have like the perfect sort of poster for each one built in, because all they need to do is like take the
Abbey Road,
and just like have like one of them highlighted and like the rest in black and white.
or not even there. So yeah, I think, Ray, thank you for the support. I think that's a beautiful idea. Hey, listen, I'll have you arrested if you start talking like this. If you come near me, the ladder won't be enough. You may have to go off the second floor. July is going to be a exceptional month. Yeah, I think July is going to be a big month. I actually think Superman is going to do well. Oh, what a guy named Hal Jordan is not looking forward to Green Lantern? Yeah. Okay, you're joking. Yes, all right, guys, you realize I'm reading this shit deadpan, so when I read it and I take it seriously, it's because I do the same thing.
Well, I mean, the reason he's not looking forward to it because he's off patrolling like Sector 2814, so it's like he's like I lived through this, so it's like I don't need to see a movie about what I do.
All right, real quick, let's get into the next topic on the thumbnail, which is, in fact, let me go. Which one do I want to do? I actually have 3 comic book stories. And I got to do spoiler free for everything because they all just came out. So we're gonna go with Daredevil. We're gonna go Cold Day in Hell, which I had no expectation for. This book is wild, man. It's wild, and it's an alternate version of Daredevil. And I'm gonna go ahead and while I present this, share my crappy screen. Here's a panel from it. I love the artwork for this. Right back in my. I thought I had it up here, but when I ran to get my fat burger, I forgot about it. I sold a lot of these today, and I grabbed the variant cover. And I usually like to leave the variants on the shelf, but I needed to read it. And here we go. So there it is. This is the cover. This is a variant cover. This is a very familiar pose. I almost forgot this is coming out, and this was done by Soul, who had his. He was on. He was the one that was writing Daredevil when Muse came about. He created Muse, so he has a very vivid way of telling stories. It opens up, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it, but there's not a lot that you really need to know. It's an older Daredevil. Looks like he's in his 70s, maybe. He doesn't have his powers. He's lost his powers. Old age. He's actually lost his powers. So he's just a regular blind guy, and as you can kind of see there, he's visiting a grave. And he's talking to the graves as if he's talking to a friend that died. It's not a friend. It's Wilson Fisk. So we don't know what the relationship happened in the 30 years since normal Daredevil has happened. But apparently he thinks of him differently. This artwork reminds me of Frank Miller, Lynn Riley, and Klaus Janson. You can kind of see the panels there, and I'll bring up some of the panels. There's a lot going on at Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen is like, you think of Hell's Kitchen right now as being an awful place to live for people. It's the grunge. It's the pits. It's worse now. Whatever you think about Daredevil, or not about Daredevil, about Hell's Kitchen being a ghetto, it's far worse now. And there's other superhero groups. Hawkeye is in here. He's part of a superhero group, a vigilante group, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on that they've gone in the abstract. Something happens. There's a chemical explosion that is set up by this agency to give people superhuman powers. Guess who just happens to be there when that goes down? Our friendly neighborhood blind guy, who then gets his powers back. He's got his seeing eye dog and everything else, but it blitzes him because he's been without his powers for so long that he gets overwhelmed, and he has to remember Stick's training to get everything to come back to him so he can control himself. So, like I said, this is I'm guessing this is about maybe 30 years into the future because Matt Murdock is really old. There's Captain America. Let me give you a panel because I didn't download every panel. Here's a Captain America. He's helping out doing something that I don't want to tell you about because it'll fuck up the story for you. But that's Steve Rogers. Bullseye is one of the enemies in here, but it's a jammed up Bullseye. That's him right there, the bald guy with the thing. He has the shakes. Imagine that Bullseye, the guy who's position, throwing. He's so old now that his hands shake, and he has to stick his needles into his hands to stop his hands from shaking. And he's his nuisance self. He also, for some reason that they haven't explained, there's the Punisher. He has the Punisher hooked up, no arms, no legs. He has him hooked up to some kind of life support device. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on here. The story itself is pretty intense because of the fact that it's an alternate storyline into the future. They have been given license to do a lot of things with a lot of characters that are probably not going to make it to the storyline anyway. The artwork is beautiful. They did this in the style. If you like Dark Knight Returns, I think you're going to like this. Soul has always been a good creator when it comes to Daredevil. This is a variant cover. There's a white cover. The main A cover is the white one, where Old Man Daredevil is standing there, and it's behind a mask silhouette. I do not have any of those left. I recommend this. This was my recommendation of the week, even over Absolute Green Lantern. So, all right, you back, Brad? It's not. There we go. All right, Chappie. Thank you for the $10 support. Question: why do fans have such a death grip over Christopher Reeve's Superman? Like it now or never can escape any interpretation. Well, a lot of it is going to be when it hit you, when you saw it. So for me, 6-year-old me seeing Superman 2, that stayed with me. That for years and years and years before we had these high-end movies, that was the Superman. That was my big screen Superman. So I understand that. What I am against is making it to where that I have such a grip on that version of Superman that I can't let anything else in, and I never can appreciate any other interpretations of that character, even if they are distinctly familiar and they are consistent with what Superman has always been. Now, I could see if you had like a Jim Carrey playing Superman as Cable Guy type guy, that's silly, that's stupid. But if it was somebody playing them inconsistent with their values and somebody put their spin on those values, I'm okay with that. But a lot of these guys, like I said, it's they've made it an extension of their existence and their personality, which is fine if that's what being a fan is. But don't turn and throw that at somebody that enjoys a different interpretation of Superman, because as an abstract, as a symbol, the consistency is there. It's always been there. This Superman that, that like I said, that people have created in their heads, and they've left out everything else. They've left out the struggles that Christopher Reeve Superman went through. They've left out the struggles that Ralph, anybody else who's played them. They leave those out, even though if you watch all the versions of Superman that they're referring to, Superman goes through a lot of stuff, but they don't want to remember that. They only want to remember him flying through Mount Rushmore with the flag, not how he got there. And by extension, they don't want to respect someone else's journey to get there. Somebody that got hired to tell you the story. Somebody that's probably better at writing a story than most of us on the stream, watching the stream, or will hear the stream. Let's see what he's got. And I think that should be the mindset going forward, no matter what the character is, especially when it's Superman, but the other character. Let's see what that creator has. And if it sucks, it sucks. But even if it sucks, it's not going to harm your Christopher Reeve's Superman is frozen in my mind. Is exactly how I remember them. Nothing can change the way I felt when I first saw Christopher Reeve Superman. Even if I prefer Zack Snyder's Man of Steel over that version, it doesn't mean I've lessened my passion for Christopher Reeves. There was a time and a place, and that meant a lot to me. But as I grew into life, as I experienced life, I needed more from my Superman. That's a preference. But if you come in saying Christopher Reeves is my definitive Superman, that's fine. But if you say it's the definitive Superman, and you start using it as a weapon against people who prefer another one, either way, then I got a problem with that. So, but thank you for the $10 super chat. Somebody, I think it was somebody was in here that were talking about Bruce Timm's Superman. I wanted to start that, but hold on. All right, they refer to Bruce Timm's one. Be honest with you, when it comes to Bruce Timm's version of it, even though I have very many issues with the Batman that came out during that era, I have very little problems with the Superman because, like I said, it's consistent to the core of the character. They didn't transform Superman to make that cartoon. All right, it could be, yeah, it could be. They didn't go into the details. But yeah, like I said, it's ironic. It's Bullseye. William will birth a litter of kittens if that happens. Oh no. And by the way, I don't. Oh well, we'll talk about it later on. But no, I don't think he's going to be in there. And if he's in there, he's going to be in a cameo. Like he's been in a Spider-Man movie already. I don't think he's going to be, Daredevil in that movie because it's a Spider-Man movie. Kingpin. Yeah, Kingpin somehow is dead. And like I said, their relationship, they're going to go into that in issue 2. This will be the next issue. Their relationship is definitely not the same as we know it. So something happened, and I'm really interested in seeing how they came to the point where he's visiting his grave. But that's a like I said, issue 2, issue 1 so very well. I'm looking for issue 2 to see well. Let's see. I rewatched Man of Steel way more than Superman 78, but I still have reverence for that movie and even Superman Returns. There are good things in Superman Returns. I just think overall it's a bad movie, but there are enough good elements to justify. I just wish they would have taken those same people and said, let's do a Superman that makes sense in 2006 instead of one that made sense in the 80s. I think that was a mistake. Yeah, Kingpin can't. Yeah. I went in and did some research on this. Kingpin cannot appear. Well, outright. Obviously, Marvel and Sony can make a deal. They'd say it before, and then that could happen. I don't think Sony would say no. But yeah, Kingpin is a Spider-Man villain. He is a Sony property as far as theatrical goes. So you wouldn't see Vincent D'Onofrio's version in Spider-Man unless they come together on a deal, which is obviously not out of the realm, so. Okie dokie. I am going to go use the restroom, play with the chat. Do not turn the stream into a Kung Fu stream, please.
Okay.
And when we get back, I am going to go over Absolute Green Lantern, which I thought was good. But once again, this is the second Absolute one that doesn't give me a lot of information about what's going on. Mm-hmm. But we do see some familiar faces, so I'll be right back.
All right, cool. Hand over to me. All right, guys. So anyway, Life After Fighting is really a lot like The Raid in the sense that it has a lot of kung fu and martial arts. Okay. All right. So what's you guys got? William's gonna be living when Daredevil. I mean, yeah, who knows? It's been one of the it's actually been for me one of the more impressive things relating to No Way Home. And it sounds like they're carrying this over into Brand New Day. Again, No Way Home. It's a loose adaptation of Spider-Man One More Day, which, if you're at all well versed in Spider-Man comics, that's one of the most, if not the most, universally hated Spider-Man story ever written. It's like, and they took that and they made that into not only, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man movie, but the biggest Spider-Man movie of all time. So pretty good trick there. So we'll see if they can do if they can make that stick landing twice or a Brand New Day. Because I remember reading Brand New Day, and you post it, post one more day. If you don't remember like the backlash that oh man, that was bad. And then I'm wondering now with Brand New Day, are they going to have? Here's a good question. I need to ask William when he gets back. If he thinks that the Blackjack is going to be in it, or no, not Black Jackpot. Sorry, why did I say Blackjack? And like you guys know what I'm talking about there probably if you read Brand New Day. Who is Jackpot going to be making an appearance? All right. I heard some people criticize Vincent D'Onofrio of overacting Worlds of Fist. What do you say? Nah, I don't think he's overacting. I think. I mean, he's given me the Kingpin I've waited my whole life to see, so I got no complaints with his portrayal of Kingpin at all. None at all. We just had Andrew's some Spider-Man show up in Spider-Man movie. They say it. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying here, Antonio. Can you retype that? Yeah, I think you might have done a little bit of a typo there. I'm not sure what your question is. Let's see. If the Superman fails, do you think Warner Bros. Just have Val-Zod Earth once? Again, I kind of doubt that, but I mean, the studio's like, they've made in the last 10 years of DC. I mean, they're not exactly known for being the best decision makers, or like panicking over something not meeting expectations. It's just like running the whole franchise off the tracks. So, I hate to be that guy to bring that up, but I mean, it's like I can't forget how we got here. Heard a Brand New Day on the. Oh, okay, really? All right. What else you got here? I mean, not including story bankruptcy, could we see like Soup's Batman and Flash in the MC? No, we're not going to see them in the. No, they're not Marvel characters. Of course, we're not going to see them in a one-off Avengers movie. No. And I can actually pull that up here, Aaron. It's basically just catch-up entertainment. It's just like the words "catch-up entertainment" against like a black background with like one little like droplet of ketchup next to it. Yeah, here's it from the Wikipedia page. I'll pull it up for you guys. Yeah, I really want to know how this company got its name. Are they gonna become like the new Lionsgate, where they just gradually just built themselves up into this big, player in the business? Yeah, that's their logo. So black background, silver letters, red dot. That is Ketchup Entertainment. Should have tomatoes. Wasn't the Flash in a nod of a multiverse story? Was the Flash? I mean, I'm not that. Might need to jog my memory on that. I don't know when the Flash ever like crossed over to a Marvel. I mean, the only one that, if you're talking about like the DC versus Marvel crossover of the '90s, I mean, is that what you're getting at? Where you're talking about like bringing them? Because that again, that's the only way I could see that happening is bringing those characters into an eventually. You have to do like an adaptation of DC versus Marvel, and even that's like kind of a long shot that actually happening. And I know William's not a fan of it happening at all. All right. Brad, is the Snyder UFC movie a Netflix thing? No, the first. I could not tell you. I can't. I mean, UFC's involved in the scouting.
You're breaking up really bad.
No. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. William got his fat burger, so that's all good to know.
Did they ship me from a patty?
They dip you a patty? Well, that is not good. A meat patty is something, and they said nothing.
No,
that is not good.
Nobody gets the joke. Well, what is it that I wouldn't want to happen at all? What
yeah. By the way, Aaron asked about the Ketchup Entertainment logo. Captain Christmas. I was sick, Christmas Carpenter. Not including the story bankruptcy, could we see Soup's Batman and Flash in the MCU eventually, and maybe a one-off Avengers film? And I said the only way I could see anything of that nature is basically if they do an adaptation of DC versus Marvel from the '90s. And Williams said repeatedly he's not a fan of that story, so he's not a fan of the movies.
I don't think either company will ever be desperate enough to do something that's stupid again. They're not in. When they did it, then they were desperate. It was the '90s, but no. Did I get?
Again, Captain Green. He's William. Can you fill me in on this because he's talking about like Flash actually doing like some kind of like multiverse, just the Flash on his own, doing like a multiverse crossover comics wise with Marvel at some point. He ran through a Marvel comic panel after Flashpoint. He was just in a ripped up red costume. So did I miss this? Like during Flashpoint, like they had like Flash actually kind of like bounced into the Marvel universe.
I don't remember this, but
yeah, neither. Aaron says you got one less patty because of the tariffs.
Hey, okay, fuck that. I paid for 3 and I got 2. Okay, listen. I only ask of anyone who has a job.
Call the manager
to do the job. This is keep talking to. I got to handle this because
okay.
This ain't good. Yeah, that's a triple. Fuck these guys. This is clearly not a triple. I wanted to make sure I looked at the DoorDash, the thing, and make sure that listen, people of America, past and present, that will be watching this stream. I'm not crazy. That's 2 patties. That is 2 patties. I know what a triple feels like. You know, the happiness, I call it 2 pounds of happiness. This is not 2 pounds. This is 2 patty. I clearly ordered 3. God damn it. So now we have to take pictures of the food. Not what it's supposed to be.
Ford says William stars in Bad Burger.
Job to make the burger. The job is to make the burger. I didn't commission you to build a rocket ship. I didn't call you to do brain surgery. It's a burger.
Yeah. By the way, Ray also says it looks like it's missing toppings.
He's missing everything. Nothing was on this burger, man. It's cheese. It's a glorified Big Mac. Why can't just
I know I'm the kind of I don't know, maybe this is just me talking. It's like I'm the kind of because that's happened to me before. I've ordered something and like at Wendy's, I'll like go in the drive-thru, get something. I order like the Dave's double and I'll get like the chicken sandwich or I get the single or something. I don't know. Usually I'm just kind of like hungry enough. I'll say, okay, I'll just eat it.
No. Fuck that. No bacon, no grilled onions, no cheese, no nothing. You gave me the basic of that burger. If I were building my burger with an app or a computer program, this is what you start off with. You start off with the basic burger and then you go from there and it gets bigger. This is bullshit, man.
He asked for the premium, they gave you the Happy Meal.
Yes, I need help with my order. Missing or correct item. Yeah. Yes. Continue.
William, Daniel says, William, your burger artist is watching out for he thinks a double is more suitable for you.
Okay, listen. Time him out.
Okay.
Make him this is no, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Oh, Rhea's got a good one, but as far as like topics of this thing, it's missing pineapple and egg.
I'm glad that you're getting my meal. I worked hard. I've been here all day. I'm hungry. I expected something. I ordered and got something else, so I'm not happy. Details. Son of a bitch, man. This is not where I want to be spending my show time.
Okay, and Charisma corrected. Okay, my bad. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, Barry popped up in Quasar number 17 erase. Okay. Oh, by the way, William, your burger's actually in the chat too. Hey, here I am, William. You're missing I made a break for you. You ain't getting mad at me in your belly this time.
Forgive me if I don't laugh. Sorry.
Williamsburger, I think you deserve a break today, man. But William is definitely not loving it.
I mean, everybody in here that has a job, everybody in here, whatever you are doing at your job, your least expectations, other than clocking in or whatever it is you do to get on the payroll, is to actually do the job. If it's making hot dogs, make the hot dog. If it's walking a dog, you walk the dog. If it's changing oil, you change the oil. If it's whatever it is that you're doing, the minimum expectations of your customer is that you at least do that.
Let's see. Yeah, Reyes says I'd be livid. I want a refund my corrected order. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe it's like that's probably my problem in a lot of things. I'm just too nice in a lot of things. So it's like, and also, I mean, I tend to like, as I said, it's like if this happens in the drive-through, it's like I'm already driving away. It's like, well, I mean, I'm gone, so it's like I'm not gonna drive all the way back. So. Okay, wait a second. Anthony asks, Brad, William, what are your thoughts on people criticizing the trailer? Well, we haven't technically gotten the trailer yet. You're talking about the teaser. You're talking about that clip because we gave our thoughts on the clip the other night. So, I mean, you can only put so much humor in like a 4-minute clip anyway. So, I mean, my big thing is like, I'm just kind of like finding it. I'm getting more and more amused, and I have a feeling it's going to be more, once the movie comes out, I'm gonna feel I have a lot more to go on with this, but it's like I'm just getting more and more like the people who just wouldn't shut up for years and years and years and years about it's like Cavill's not smiling, he's not happy enough, we can't have dark broody Superman, it's like he's got to be happy 24/7. Like, and it's like all we have seen so far, of course, what he's like not smiling, he's having a bad day, he's getting his ass beat, he's doing this. It's like, oh man, I can't wait to see these same people like just the backflips, the contortions they're gonna do, like try to praise things, and once you're in a movie, they hate another.
Why do you care about those people?
Yeah. That's because
I mean, I dressed them today because they are fucking up like the current discourse of conversation. But I don't. Do we really care about what they thought 7 6 days ago? Because they could have changed in that time.
Well,
too.
again, so we kind of said that when we were talking about the clip the other night. It's like, no, I perfectly happy. I mean, I do like in politics, it's like, I'll extend to politics, like when people, vote for candidates I'm not a fan of, and it's like they come around later on and say, what, I regret that vote, I have buyer's remorse, etc. So I always give people the room to evolve or change their minds, because we all do it, we all, that it's just, if you're not doing it, like what the hell are you doing in life? You're not learning, you're not progressing, you're not evolving, so you're staying stagnant. So I always give people the room, to do that, even if it's on something I think it's like a big faux pas on their part. But okay, when it's something where I find particularly like, okay, you really drop the ball there, it's like I will give you the permission to evolve. I will allow you to welcome you into the tent. But I always reserve the right to take the piss out of you at least one time on that.
They're not even going to remember. They're not thinking in the way that you're remembering them.
I find that to be a very fair.
This is a you thing. This is a therapy for you thing. Anyway, well, that just fucked everything up.
Aaron says Justice for William and his good burger.
It's not a good big. Please don't aggravate me with that.
Let's see. Daniel says, Brad, was there supposedly a scene with Lois interviewing Superman for the CinemaCon release?
Yes, there was. And the scene that we saw, it lacked that. That's the difference between the one that was in Minecraft and the one that we saw and the one that was at CinemaCon. Lois is doing an interview, and there's more context to it. Campia did say that because he was there, and plus, I think Brad also said that. Other Brad said that that was the difference. But all the action sequences and stuff, that was the same. Son of a bitch. You know what? See, and this is the kind of stuff that just your day has different points where it can go this way or this way, and certain things just make it a good day. They just make everything works, right? Everything works. You wrap up the day with something that you feel you've earned, which was a fat burger. All right, and I got that. So anyway, I'll be right back. Let's talk Green Lantern before I completely put a hole in there.
Let's see. You got for us, guys. But yes, of course, most important thing of the night by far. Yes, justice for William and his good burger. Justice. I agree, Brad. I might end up loving, but the discourse over this being real Superman, it's a pain in the ass. That's why William again wanted to devote a good chunk of the show tonight about like how Superman fans can really add a vexation to being Superman fans that doesn't need to be there. So yeah.
All right. Green Lantern, absolute Green Lantern, was really good in a way and kind of unfulfilling in others. It's the second one. The Flash did this to me too, where they introduced players, but they don't really go into too much depth. Hal Jordan is in this. Now, there's not too many ways. It just came out this week. I'm going to let you know that Hal Jordan is in this. He's not who you think he is, and he's not what you think he is. There's your Green Lantern. There's your first Green Lantern that you see going in, and she's on all the covers. She's on the standard cover. I think this is a Jim Lee. This is a Jim Lee cover. I think this is Jim Lee. I love this one. It's my favorite of the ones besides this one behind me. There is the let me zoom. I'm sorry, I was thrown off by that thing sitting over there. That's not what it should be. Foil cover, virgin foil cover. I like this painted one. It's almost like a painted outright. This one is cool. Now, if you see from my thumbnail, she's not wearing a Green Lantern ring. She has a ring on, but it's not the traditional Green Lantern ring. And right now, they gave us no information about where the power comes from. The story opens up with a ginormous, like if you look on our thumbnail right there, the ginormous. This is actually the backdrop I use for the thumbnail. Is actually the opening page of this comic book, and this mysterious Green Lantern logo just ends up where they're at. Also, let's see. Let me bring up some of the pictures of it. See, look, there's 3 comics that came out that I highly recommend. All right, so Hal Jordan is he's going through some stuff at the beginning of this. He's been overtaken by some type of dark energy, some type of dark power. The actual name of the issue is the Black Hand, and that's obviously going to be a nod to what he's going through. And there's Hal Jordan. Once again, I just saw Lantern's photo with those guys on the road, and now I have Hal Jordan on that. Looks like that same road from that picture. So he's not a Green Lantern right now. There are no Green Lanterns right now in the story. He's got something in him that is that it's like it's growing on him, and it just ate a cop. So we'll let you know. Yeah. So it looks like Hal Jordan's going to be like a villain in this particular iteration, or at least he's going to start out that way. But like I said, it goes all over the place as far as where the story goes. But also, here's another 2 covers I didn't show you. This is the sketch version. Every version of Absolute Anything has a sketch version. For those of you who have artist friends out there, I need to send Dawson some of these because I know he's an artist and he does real good with these. I might even do one myself, but these are the sketch variants that come with every one of them. And then the higher end variant, the one I only got a few of, and I only have one left, is this one right here. This is kind of cool. I made sure that was behind me. This is in a year. This is what I want to hear and see after I hear the HBO logo when it comes to lanterns. So it came out with about 7 different covers that I know of, and let's look at let's pop this one open just to give you guys a look. Like I said, I don't want to. There are spoiler reviews if you guys do want to do those, but I've been asked by a lot of customers who do end up picking these up that do watch the show to not spoil it for them, give them a basic premise. That's Hal Jordan. The black circle is the theme for Hal Jordan. It's throughout the imagery is throughout the comic. Even to the point where he's drinking some coffee and there's a black ring, and that's something's going on with him with that. He's been possessed by something. By the way, this is going to be really cool. This is Absolute Batman #7. Absolute Mr. Freeze will be making his debut, which is going to be cool because I wonder if Matt Reeves will take inspiration from that. So they're all watching as this big green thing. And this is a kick-ass page. This is a page I use for my thumbnail. I love this. This thing just lands there, and everybody's trying to figure out what it is, and they're all sitting in this diner, and Hal starts acting crazy because he's got some kind of parasitical thing attached to him, and they all go out to take a look at what it is. Most of this issue is about them discussing what the big lantern logo that just landed in the middle of here it is coming out of the sky. You can kind of see it. It just lands right in the middle of the city. And now this is Ebenthur. Now he doesn't look like this in the normal universe. This is Ebenthur. This is the person who gave our mainline Hal Jordan his ring. So he emerges out of this big giant logo. So he's this giant looking thing that looks nothing like he does in our universe, which is another cool thing about this. And there's Hal Jordan dealing with what Hal Jordan has to deal with. Like I said, I want you to read this, but Hal Jordan is not your average Hal Jordan. And at this point, this is where the Green Lantern, the Absolute Green Lantern, comes in. And so what they're doing is they're telling. I won't say that these issues are thin on story. They're just the story is being told out of order. Same thing with the Flash. The Flash opens up with him having the powers already, and we know that Wally West is a Flash, and that Barry Allen has never been Flash, and all these other people have been shifted around. Barry's Wally's father, the general who's still alive in this, and in that interpretation of the Flash, is running a different project that has to do with with multiverses and things. So, but they tell the story out of order. Like this issue right here, completely is told out of order. You don't see her interaction necessarily with who gives her the ring. So they'll tell you that story in the next episode. But just the fact that there's an Absolute Green Lantern is a good start to me. It's selling well. I've only had it on the shelf for a couple of days, and we've sold down to the variant. So I think it's going to be. I think with Absolute Flash and Absolute Green Lantern, they're going to be not. I'm not going to say JV, but they're not outside of the Trinity. They're going to have the same exact structure and effect that they would if they were in the main line, because the 3 main players are going to be Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, exactly how they released them. And now you have the Martian Manhunter. Now you have, by the way, Martian Manhunter did break that trend of it's just weird. It gives you a lot of information. Yeah. You just got to figure it out. Martian Manhunter was probably one of the most entertaining ones that they've done. My favorite outside of the Trinity. My least favorite was the Flash, but that's just because I haven't gotten the entire story yet. But I think the more information we get, we're getting to a point where we're going to have to deal with Darkseid again.
Yeah.
That's going to deal with Darkseid again. And I need to, we haven't heard from him. It's been 6 months now. We're 6 months into this universe, and we haven't seen a hide or hair of Darkseid in either the mainline universe or ours. So I'm assuming that he's going to have to come about again, because it's his merging with the Spectre that created this chaos and explosion. So he's got to come back. I just don't know what form it's going to be. And how, what form the Flash is going to play, how powerful is the Flash, how powerful is this Green Lantern, why are there no Green Lantern rings? There's a whole bunch of questions. What they've done with these last couple of entries is they've introduced all their questions, whereas in Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Superman, you get more of, okay, this is where they're going with this. Yeah. I got it, and then we layer it on. This is these last two, and you can count. Well, Martian Manhunter was what he was. There's no mystery there. But these last two are more like, okay, these are the players. Now, issues 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're going to go into some backstory, and I'm looking forward to it. I was so excited. I just burned through these issues. And I'm like, oh shit, that's over.
Yeah. I just got a Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter the other day. So Green Lantern I haven't read yet, but yeah, it just goes to say more and more about how this is it's why I asked you the other I think it was about a week ago, where I asked like, how do you think this is like a long term going to be like another pillar in in DC's storytelling, like they're going to keep Absolute DC around long term. It's like I think it's clearer and clearer like the further they go along the site there. I mean, this is these reinventions of each character are such that, I mean, they're clearly is like the impact this is already having. I mean, of course they're going to take this as far as they can, and as far as
it's making them so much money.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the monetary side of it. I mean, it's crazy how well it's doing, and like we've said repeatedly, it's like, yes, there will absolutely be adaptations of Absolute DC in the very. I know. I think William, you talked about like within 5 years. I think it may be more like 3 before we see like some kind of like an animated Absolute Superman or something along those lines. Maybe like James Gunn, like, hey, like we got an Elseworlds wing. Let's do something over there with Absolute.
Yeah, and I think Jim Lee needs to be on top of it. I think everybody should be looking at this like, yeah, this is what we need to do. Let's go with what works. Let's not stop playing by these dumb rules that they played by before, and just say, hey, let's do what works. This is working. This is they just put out a new Green Lantern Corps book that's really good. This is gonna help sell that book for people who have been turned off, because most dealers I know, and I have an Absolute section, of course, but this sits next to the normal Green Lantern. Absolute Batman sits next. It's on my Batman tower with the regular Batman. Wonder Woman, a book that really needs the help, in my opinion, is sitting next to Absolute Wonder Woman. So it allows you permission for yourself to get in and just say, you know what, this book looks good too. I mean, I'm in a Batman mood. Let's buy Detective Comics. Like, let's get into Hush Part 2.
And here's another thing I was kind of thinking too, or a couple things I was thinking. One of them was that, like, how would you compare what they've done with Absolute DC so far to what Marvel was doing when they started the Ultimates line? Because I would say like this is, as far as what they've done in Absolute DC, I mean, just how much each character has been reinvented. I mean, it's like everyone is just so different from what like their traditional image. So I would say it's like an even more radical kind of like multiverse or Elseworlds than even what like.
I got a perfect answer to your question, but let me answer. No, they've already refunded me. So no one dies tonight over a burger. I'm not happy. I had my heart set on this. This was part of the end of my day. I had to pre-order everything. I had ready to go, and I should have recognized it when I picked up the bag, and it was just a little bit lighter than it should have been. But that's fine. But no one's gonna die tonight. I got my money back, and I got a burger dude, that one patty does make a difference, though. I'm gonna inhale that little biscuit you saw there. I'm going to accidentally breathe in, and that's going to be gone. So, yeah, and I'll have to probably get something else to eat, because what you saw there is not 2 pounds. That's more like a pound. That last patty, and without the bacon, without all the other stuff on it, it's like a dry fat burger, which that's a crime in itself, but you know what? I'll get over it, I guess. Okay, so answer your question, the difference between the Ultimate Universe, it's the original Ultimate Universe versus, because the other one, they've taken some drastic different changes in. The original Ultimate Universe that came out in the early 2000s, the difference is it was more of a modernization to line up with contemporary buyers than it was a reimagining. So the Super Silver Serum was pretty much the basis for all the superhuman activity that came about. I think the Hulk, Bruce Banner was experimenting with it, and he turns into the Hulk. It causes a lot of things that end up to a lot of superhuman things being about, and then Captain America comes back. So Ultimates is like the Avengers, but it's a more modern version. Nick Fury is a more modern version of Nick Fury, but it's the same stuff and the same thing. Now, once you start getting into like some of their villains, there are certain villains that were created for the Ultimate Universe. Most notably and probably most famous is the Maker, the evil version of Reed Richards, which is found his way into the other Ultimate Universes. I can't believe we won't see him at some point during the next 5-6 years. So yeah, when you're talking about the original Ultimate line was more of a modernization of what we already had. Like when you read Ultimate Spider-Man, there's a lot of modern takes on the Spider-Man, a lot of different stories versus things that they would have liked to change about Spider-Man throughout the 30 or 40 years of his existence prior to that, but they just couldn't do it. But they did it here.
Well, I think also it was partially because it started in the early 2000s. It was also kind of partially motivated by like when X-Men and Spider-Man came out. Marvel kind of said like we're probably going to get an influx of like new to comics readers. So like also was also kind of partly motivated by the idea of like let's kind of create like a jumping on point for like completely new comic book readers.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Ultimate or Absolute is doing right now. I never understood this decision to stop the original Ultimate Universe. I thought that was stupid, and that was one of those things that they did with Secret Wars, which I thought this is absolutely stupid to do this, but because I thought it was still doing well enough, and the stories were there. And then look what they did. Less than a decade later, here we're back with some of their best selling titles being the Ultimate titles. So.
And see, the other thing with Absolute, DC that also is kind of thinking about, it kind of relates to the thing coming out of the CinemaCom Superman we were talking about. Again, we don't want to now by it. We don't want to like go too big of a discussion on it until we get more detail on it. But it kind of relates to like a lot of things we discussed on here as far as like other DC cinematic stuff. But that also kind of occurred to me with that. It's like, oh, could this maybe like be beneficial as far as like whatever adaptation you might see of Absolute DC, as far as like that one comment I'm referring to, which again, it's like we're talking about like it's like a top secret thing. It's really not. It's like, I mean, you guys can like just type it in on Twitter. You'll probably know what we're talking about pretty easily. But we just don't want to like go in depth on that too much until like we have a little bit more that's kind of already out there dissected about it. But it did kind of occur to me. It's like that could also not just play into like other things we're thinking about, but also like Absolute DC, because it's like again, this will
once you establish something like that, it's a tool you can use. Like I said, when you establish an Elseworlds or anything of that manner, you give yourself room and freedom to do things without is this going to mess up my mainline universe, or we're not ready for that right now, or this will never fit. It gives you license to do things that you would not have done in your mainline universe. And like I said, it also attracts talent that like to do their own thing and won't necessarily want to be caught up in a universe.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that a lot of big names and some actors and some directors, even though Marvel's huge and it's big, they don't necessarily want to build their own creatives. They don't want to be, going to someone else's harm, but they do want to work with these characters. So if you get a big name director, a big name actor, creator, producer that wants to come make content for you, you should have somewhere for them to go instead of saying, oh, well, this what you're doing doesn't fit here, or them thinking, what I'm thinking of will never work there. They don't have to think that anymore. They can come up and say, hey, I got this treatment for this particular character. I know you're doing something over there, but if we make it distinctly different, I think we can make some money on it. And that's what that's what DC really needs to, continue to embrace as far as their strength goes. Their strength is in the diversity of their universes, the longevity of their characters, and the different versions of these characters that have existed. That's literally their foundation.
Well, the other thing too, when you talk about like the mainline, not completely with the mainline universe, and this was something I really was really enjoying when they were really pushing the multiverse, DC fandom, and all. The great advantage of that is that now they might, from the company's perspective, like push like, okay, this continuity we're doing, this is the quote unquote mainline universe. But really, when you're embracing multiverse, when you're embracing Elseworlds, whether it's comics, TV, movies, or whatever medium you're doing in it, really, when it comes down to like the mainline universe, ultimately is whatever the individual like consumer decides is the main for them personally. It's like whichever one they kind of like latch onto and like decide this is kind of my baseline for DC or Marvel. That it's easy. It's very easy thing to headcanon. For the customer to say it's like this, as far as I'm concerned, is my personal mainline DC universe. whether it's we talk about movies, whether it's Gunn, whether it's Snyder, whether it's Reeves, whether it's whatever could potentially happen with absolute DC. And, and that's the thing about it, is that we have that many pillars, kind of like keeping the propping the whole enterprise up. You once you have that much diversity that William's talking about, everybody, the whole fan base tends to kind of like break off and sort of splinter out, and like, okay, it's like I gravitate more towards this, or like this is kind of like I've determined from my personal kind of leanings as a DC fan, and is like this one right here is the mainline universe from my perspective.
Yeah, and you can do that. You, like I said, there's a lot of people who have taken that with DC Black Label, because those stories are generally not in the continuity of the mainline DC. So it just gives you room to operate and tell stories that, like I said, with DC Black Label, if you want to tell a hard edge Batman story, you can do it with DC Black Label. You can do it with Batman Damn. You can do it with Batman and Catwoman. I mean, they're banging like every other page in that comic. That's not necessarily the thing that. Hi, William. Thank you for contacting our support team. We sincerely apologize for the issue with your order. Please below more information. So has been refunded back to your original payment methods. Are you happy with this? Not really. I would have been happier with the burger. I would have been happy with I'm hungry. I'm starving. And now I got to go get an add-on because I only got 1 pound hamburger now. I needed 2. I wanted 2. My stomach screamed out for 1.8 pounds and it got 1. That's not cool.
How's it going, Bell Rev?
Hello, I tried to tune into your show last night, but I had the sound down. I know you were cussing and dropping F-bombs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch it, because I had a really early morning today, so I just wasn't able to. That's why I wasn't on the Vodka stream last night, because I had to get.
Yeah, you were playing trailers and playing with the remote. I thought you were going to start doing like yoga or something, because you know how the people stand in front of the TV with the remote and they start doing the exercise, and I'm like, what is she doing? And it looks like she was playing the trailers. Old trailers from some of the things on her TV.
Also asking, Will, best burger ever? Yeah, yes, William. What is the most good burger you've ever had?
I feel for you, because the only person that this joke is funny to is you, and it's painful to watch you keep going after a laugh that you're never going to get with me on this joke. And then the people are like, what is he talking about? I'm like, yeah, it's just Brad's in his own.
The short answer, guys, William's not a fan of Good Burger, and I just keep having fun with that. William hates Good Burger as much as I love the Raid. Is kind of the way to put it.
It's lame. I know. Maybe they didn't make it for me. That's fine, but I looked at it and thought it was silly. Shit. Allergy. Thank you. Let's see, Marvel. Desire me to change the look and backstory of these characters in all media, like comics and cartoons, and lineup. No, they did that one time. And that was when the X-Men, and that's when Grant Morrison's run, and they had the black jackets and stuff. As these movies get more popular, they start going back to the traditional, like Wolverine. 25 years ago, you would not have seen the yellow street Wolverine. No. You saw what you saw.
You wouldn't have
now,
even seen
billions of dollars later. We're doing all right.
You wouldn't have even seen like because we had the yellow and blue, with the cowl at the end of it. Well, you wouldn't even seen like the yellow and brown version, back in 2000. Although, but it's interesting though, because Wolverine's like, now I'm not saying this like I didn't like love seeing the comic accurate suit, finally shown in the movie, but the thing about Wolverine is that they really leaned in a lot of the movies prior to that. Like I always kind of preferred like the look or the quote unquote suit he had. The best one for me, movie wise, pre Deadpool Wolverine, really was just the wife beater, because that's a legit Wolverine look too. When he's on solo missions, it's not uncommon to see him in just the wife beater. So,
I don't know what you're trying to do right now, Azteca. Right now, you're flirting with extinction. I think you're about to compare a Fat Burger to one of them little kids burgers. In which case that little thing I got over there would have been appropriate. But please tell me you're not comparing.
Bell Riff says double hands down for me.
That's that in and out nonsense. Yeah.
The Iron Man in almost all media after 08 looks or sounds like that's like, well, yeah. I mean, that's just like.
I mean, no, it's the other way around, Captain Charisma. Robert Downey Jr. looks like Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. looks like if you were reading Iron Man before 2008, Robert Downey Jr. looks like Iron Man. He looks like Tony Stark. That's why. Just like all the people who play Superman have a certain characteristic because they look like Superman. But it's not. It's the other way around, in my opinion.
You know, it's funny too. You should mention charisma with the 08 Iron Man because this is like a marketing thing. But I mean, when the first one was coming out, I remember they played like the Black Sabbath song Iron Man. Like, I mean, that was, you couldn't watch the marketing at all and not encounter that. And that was even in the end of the movie. And now the song itself like has nothing to do with the Iron Man character, but you know, I'm sure William would agree with this. It's like, I mean, they had to use that song. I mean, that would have been a missed opportunity if they didn't take that song and put it in the marketing for the first Iron Man movie. Come on.
I mean, it was convenient, and Black Sabbath was definitely on board for making some more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they play it at the end of the movie too. So.
Mm-hmm. Which again, it doesn't. When they wrote it, it has nothing to do with like Tony Stark, but it's just, you know, the lyrics. You know, it just lines up with the character. So.
Yeah, even though the character precedes that song. Which is hilarious.
Yeah, dude, the character precedes the song. The song has nothing to do with the character. Then the movie comes out. It's like, well, it's
like Black Panther. It's like Black Panther. The character Black Panther preceded.
Yeah,
the group.
that is a lot of people don't realize that actually that Black Panther was not named after the Black Panther Party. Like Black Panther came before the Black Panther Party.
Black Panther came.
In fact, they actually had to for a while because of that they actually had to for briefly in a while they had to rename it Black Leopard. Actually, I think in like the 70s. So it's funny how these, you know, some of these like external things will sort of end up kind of lining up with these adaptations later on. They played so much AC/DC. Yeah, they did, which was fine with me because I mean I love AC/DC.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I need to see them in concert.
That's really like, if nothing else, one thing I'll say about the Thor movies, which are definitely bad. I think they're uneven as far as quality wise. And Thor's best moments in the MCU so far, I think most of us would agree, probably are in the Avengers movies. But one thing I will say about the Thor, if nothing else, they have great soundtracks. The Thor solo movies. They've got what groups did they have in the soundtracks? They've had Foo Fighters. They've had Led Zeppelin. They've had who do they have? Who's the big one they were kind of tying really to Thor: Love and Thunder? I
can't remember. I put that movie out of my head.
I think it was AC/DC actually. Or yeah. So the movies definitely oscillate in quality, but they had really awesome soundtracks. So I'll give them that.
Hold on, I just gotta make sure. I gotta make sure because I wasn't able to use my good internet tonight. I gotta make sure that I'm not staggering.
No, you seem good to me, man.
And the thing about this is I can't do anything about it because I'm in an open area. Like I with the studio I'm building at the house has those big crate things, those things that so that'll sound a lot sharper, but I can't. I'm obviously where I'm at right now. I can't surround myself with that, so it's kind of sucks. It's the byproduct of doing it from a live store. But hey, well, all right, no more stupid jokes about my failed burger.
No, really though, it's like I think like 10 years from now we do like a show. It's like the Sci-Fi Center's greatest hits, or like a clip show of the Sci-Fi Center. I should probably go on there. It's like William like discovers on camera he got shortchanged on one of the fat burgers.
And I that's the serious shit to me. I don't. You guys are laughing, but it's serious. I mean, dude, that's listen. You get what you pay for. That's one of the things I always say. You get what you pay for. I paid for $3,000, and it says, and every now and then when you're doing the ordering, you look at, oh fuck, I fucked up. I pushed the wrong thing. I clicked on the wrong thing, and that's what I thought may have happened. I'm like, I was about to be more pissed at myself. I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Did I tell you the story?
I look at it, I'm like, whoa, no, goddamn it, where's it?
Have I shared, Aaron, just with the burger emoji? Have I shared? I think I've shared the story on here before, but did I tell you about the time? This is a long time ago. Where I went to McDonald's. I think I was on the movie theater, and I just ran to McDonald's real quick, just get something in my stomach before going to the movie theater, and I got like a quarter pounder. And I found a nickel inside of it.
Oh yeah, see that shit like that.
And I'm the kind of guy where it's like all I did was like I took the nickel out and I just ate the burger. So that's the kind of
you and I would have a problem.
Yeah.
I would have snatched that burger out of your hand. I would have marched back into that thing and slammed that shit and the burger down and say, "You see, this was in your shit. I need a whole fucking meal now. I need a smorgasbord now."
Yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have done that. Yeah.
And like I told you my Jack in the Box story, right? That's famous.
Fill me in on that one again.
The one where the guy made my burger and didn't put any meat, and then
and you had to go back and he's like
came back and tried to accuse me of, well, maybe you ate the meat, and then came down, and before I could say, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" his boss, who was cracking up behind him, pushed him out the way, bust up laughing, took care of me. I know a lot of people have issues with Chick-fil-A, but I'm hungry. I was eating food. So I went to Chick-fil-A and I ordered a chicken sandwich because I had never been there before, right? Never been there before, but didn't plan on going again. It was convenient. I was in a vehicle. I get a chicken sandwich. I get home. Guess what's missing? The chicken. The chicken is missing. I get back. I go all the way back up to them and I open it up. I'm like, the chicken is missing. They look at it. The whole staff starts to crack up and they all turn towards this one kid who you could see, this had to have been his first day, maybe his first hour, and they all looked at him and started busting up. They took it, they put 2 chicken patties in there, and the waffle flies, who I had already devoured before I got to the house, they gave me a size of waffle fries that's like this big.
Oof.
And man, I tore into them. And they gave me a $5 coupon, which won't get you anything at Chick-fil-A, but they gave me a $5 coupon, and I don't even remember I used it. That's how you do it.
Here's a good story where I had a bit of a screw up with it because I worked when I was back in college. I was like 21 at the time.
Thank you for the super chat from Brad Stong. I just didn't.
Yeah, we're not pulling that up. Oh God, okay.
He did a super chat, and I still really only win.
So I briefly for a couple of months I worked in this pizza joint at the mall. Again, I was about 21. I was in college at the time, and it was like my first day there. They showed me how to like make you lay the dough out on the tray, and then you put the marinara sauce on, then you sprinkle the cheese on, then you put whatever toppings you want to on, or whatever they request on, then you put it in the oven, and it just goes through the oven. It takes about 30 seconds or so to get there, and that cooks the pizza. So I'm helping out with this, and there's one time, I guess in my haste, I put the dough on the bread on the pan, and I put the marinara sauce on there, and then I just put it in the oven. I forgot to put the cheese on there, and it comes out. It's like, there's nothing on there but marinara sauce, and
did that make it to your customer?
Huh? No, it didn't.
Okay.
Because it was easy to see. Like there was nothing on there. And I think probably
it's easy to see that you didn't put any meat on a sandwich or a burger. It's really easy to see what's missing. Ooh, I wonder. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't weigh the same. So yeah, but like I said, each time I was taken care of. This time they took care of me, but Fatburger's closed right now. I'm not going to get that patty. I got the money back, but I didn't get the patty. I was hungry. Sometimes the actual experience of the meal is what you're getting for. I would have rather had the meal than the money. So, and now it's like I said, it doesn't even have anything on it. There's none of the stuff that I've added on. None of the egg is not on there. The bacon is not on there. The mayonnaise is not on there. Nothing's on there but cheese. I think they did cheese because they said, "Oh, you can't stick this bun to this meat without cheese, so we'll do that." That's the bare minimum. But it's on. I've been there when they made them. It's on a big screen. It tells you what I ordered. I've watched it. So I'm like, this is one of those, I just want to get the hell out of here. My burger could have been dropped on the ground. They don't care. They're clocking out at 10. So. On this type of burger, yeah, with that type of cheese, yes, it does. Okay, sure. If I'm starving, I guess I'll eat anything. Whataburger is just too expensive.
Jack in the Box still in business? I don't think I've.
Oh yeah, they're big business.
Yeah, well, I mean, not around Savannah, they aren't.
Oh, you're living out in the Ozarks. I mean, I'm surprised you don't have to catch your food.
That's not what are you? You've been here, man. You are not the Ozarks.
Savannah, yeah, it's more Ozark than most places. But.
We're not a small town. I would say we're a small city.
I'm surprised you don't have traps set up, and that's how the traps don't get filled. You just don't eat.
We get tons of tourism every year. Okay, go down like. Really, all seriousness, because Savannah is a historic city. So, downtown, the nightlife downtown, like on River Street and whatever. We also got Tybee Island out very close to us too. So we definitely get tourism here. Yeah, that's where. But we're not. That's where I kind of describes. We're not a small town. We're a small city.
Yeah, I'm thinking because there's a little taco place around here. Because like I said, that's not gonna fill me up. That is nice. It's not even gonna taste like it's supposed to because none of the toppings are on it. I'm like, not only did you fuck up on a patty, you could have even disguised it. If all the fixings were on top, I could have been like, I don't know if it's there. Well, it doesn't feel right, but nope. Easily, as soon as I open that up, I'm like, I didn't even need to unwrap it. I'm like, I'm screwed. So there we go. Eating possum in the moonshine. That's what's out there. Whatever the trap gets him. All right, guys, that's it. That is it. I'm aggravated and I'm tired now. And now I got to go spend time finding something to eat when I thought I had that covered. But hey, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the participation in the show.
Daniel says the difference between William having a good day or a bad day is a single patty.
Okay, Daniel, you say that. You say that is not an important thing. It's not the only thing that capped off this day, but it is one of these things that I had lined up to make a better day. I earned a happy ending to today. Didn't I not? I came in, I worked hard, I took care of my customers, I did my thing, didn't commit any crimes, didn't rob any banks, was a good citizen all day. All I wanted was that light at the end of the tunnel.
Damn right.
And I was robbed. I was not given the kind of service that I spent all day giving to my customers. In any walk of life I'm in, you got to take care of the people. And simple mistakes I know happen, but that's not a simple mistake. That's literally a third of the weight is gone. You can't call yourself Fat Burger and then give me some slim down shit that I didn't pay for. Once again, I had to look at the app. Did I fuck up? Do 2 patties. Every now and then I'll do that because it's all in there. I got fat fingers. Did I push the wrong one? And so, like I said, right on the air, I'm like, okay, maybe. No. Not only did you rob me of a patty, Fat Burger, the 2 that I got ain't even going to taste like they're supposed to. So now I got to go get like a fucking, burrito or something to go with this to like put in between the buns and chew on it. I don't know. It may be funny to you guys, but when you're working hard and you get to the end of the day and you're ready to frame your day the way your day is supposed to be, you can smell the food that you want, no matter what it is, tacos, French fries, whatever it is you are driving your day towards, you can smell it and taste it before you even order it. And then when they mess that up, it kind of puts the whole day out of focus for me. So I'm glad you guys, it's comedy to you, but I'm telling you, you know the difference between a XXX and a 2X, you would be horrified right now. All right, you would be calling me, asking me, are you going to be okay? So it's not funny. Ha ha ha, laugh. But now I go off into the night looking for a meal that I thought I already had covered. So. Okie dokie, that's it. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm not killing no one. He shot people over. He shot people over the breakfast menu not being available. There's a big difference. All I did was push. I didn't even have to call and scream at anybody. I just pushed the button. I sent the pictures. I said, "Ooh, yeah, that's bad." And within minutes, I got my money back. But oh well. I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I believe that this is going to be. I think it's going to be. I don't know when, but I do believe that it's coming, and I think that's when Dark Side comes about. So, yeah. All right, guys, have a. It's not funny. Stop laughing. I will be here tomorrow, earlier than usual. I got a lot of work to get done in the store. I made a lot of ground today. We working on the store all day. I am going to do a Patreon stream at probably 2:00. After that, I'm going to be watching AEW's Dynasty, some really good matches, and we'll be talking about that afterward. I'll see if I can bring Mondo on with me to talk wrestling. Tomorrow will just be a standard show. Obviously, the main topic is going to be AEW's, because we'll talk a little bit about that. There's no Sunday night show for us to watch. I might bring out some more comics and stuff to talk about. Hell no, you know what? I may even give Batburger another chance. See if they can redeem themselves. And this is a Fat Burger that's been the good one, because not all Fat Burgers are equal. No. I order from the one that has usually never let me down. This is so. I'm not gonna go full on ballistic, but when I go in there in person next time, I'm gonna be like, hey man, you broke my heart on Saturday April 5th. All right, guys. Please like, subscribe, share our religion. Put this show and its content in front of people that you think like you. If you enjoy the content, maybe they will too. We will see you tomorrow night.
Later, guys.
Not the same. Still tragic.